Welcome everybody to the VIS Challenger Series, here kicking off the Summer Challengers. It was split number 1, and we have, I think, what might be the strongest, most exciting Challenger Series in North America to date. All kicking off here live this week. I'm joined today by Denominate and Tasty Bacon. Thank both you guys for joining me tonight, as you guys will helping me break down the games. But let's get right into it. And we're going to talk a little bit today, before we get into our first matchup, about the format, what you guys can expect, and also what teams will be competing here this week, specifically today. First of all, a little bit about the format. There's not a whole lot changed other than some notables, considering that we are no longer a 64-team tournament. We have narrowed it down to 32 teams. What this means is the first games right out the gate are going to be really, really tough, like a lot harder than what we saw in the first few days previously. So a lot of these teams, they have to show up game number 1 with their A game. The other big notable change is that as we approach playoffs, when we get into playoffs, teams will qualify for playoffs. It will move to a double band draft for week number 3. That is the playoffs week. But until then, we will be using a single band draft. For everybody watching, this is live on 2.6 update. Grace is not available to play, but everything else is live. So this is going to be an exciting start to the season. Tasty Bacon, you had a chance to cast Europe. It's been a really wild roller coaster so far. Let's take a look at our bracket though as we get in. This is going to be Group A, everybody. We do split up. Tomorrow will be Group B. But taking a look at Group A, this is a really packed group. There are some very strong teams here. Let's talk about some of the more notable ones. Absolutely. I mean, they just so everyone's keeping an eye on it, Immortals is an all-star roster. It's packed, and we're going to be hopefully getting to them, provided they, as we expect them to make to the next round, provided that does happen. We will be likely streaming the matches from that side of the bracket after this game, our first game. But yeah, really, really jam-packed. We've got so many other exciting rosters to talk about and to get into. Denominate, what are some of the exciting teams that you feel, especially from Group A, that really stand out to you? Yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah, it does. Taking a look, we do have some sound issues there. I apologize. Everyone's like, whoops. Yeah, we got that sorted out as we go live. So, Tasty, you did not get to chime in here because you were muted. Let's talk a little bit about what your thoughts were going into this bracket.
And so I was just mentioning that the team that I think you really have to look at is going to be Immortals. It's the easy team to pick, but it's the easy team to pick for a reason. They have put together a brand new roster, only one player returning from their very subpar performance in the previous season of Vainglory 8. But they're a team that's extremely confident, expecting to not only make it to the challenge battles, but they are expected to win their challenge battle against whoever they face. They feel like they are one of the best teams in all of North America right now.
Absolutely. All right, so there's a lot here. Some other notables, Misfits. I mean, it's kind of surprising we're kind of just glossing over that roster. It is a roster that's been in the Challengers for quite some time. They were started in Vainglory 8 when they got picked up by Misfits, this org, which is Exhale and Eco. They're a pretty good team. The seeded number 5, they're definitely one to watch. They've been preparing for this Summer Challenger Series. We'll have to see how that work may have paid out. Another one that really stands out as well that we can't really gloss over too much is, even down in Intensity VG, another roster that's had some good performances, was in VIS Pro last season. So definitely something to keep an eye on as we get into these matches. But let's talk a little bit about the matchup we have coming up next, guys. This is going to be Vision Gaming versus Team Classified. And Classified, they've been in the Challenger Series for a long time. They're in the top 32 this time, but they're going up against what some people are saying could be that really surprising dominant team coming from Challengers, being built in Challengers. And look at their roster that they have. Chicken, Junie, Stand-In Solo, Blair Kid Riesgo. Tasty, this is definitely a roster to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of these players have a lot of experience in Vainglory competitive. Some of them have even been to live championships before. So it's definitely a team that has the experience and has the abilities to be a top contender here in Challengers.
All right, everybody. It looks like we're just about ready to get into our very first game here in just a few moments. As we've got everybody in the queue, so it looks like we're ready to start draft. So we're going to get started right now and get rolling in our first North America game to be played in the Challenger Series for split number 1. And it is single band draft, everybody, as you are watching, but it looks like we're ready to get started. So I'm going to kick it over to you, Tasty Bacon, and to Domine.
All right, thank you very much, Dragonborn. And so, as we get into this one, expect to see Grumpjaw Baron as the 2 bans in probably just about every game today. That was the case over in Europe. It's the case in a lot of solo queue games as well at the moment. It's just those 2 heroes are just so dominant that you really can't afford to let them through.
Yeah, to me, it's kind of on the fence. I feel like we're going to get at least one game here in North America where someone's going to try to bait out the ban. You might ban away an Adagio or a Vox first in hopes to get that Grumpjar Baron. That's something we could definitely see, but a Vox first pick out of the side of Vision Gaming here, so definitely a strong pick this patch.
And just for everyone watching, we are playing on the current live update, but Grace is not available to be played this week in Challengers. So unfortunately, we won't be getting to see the newest hero into the Halcyon Fold today. However, we are going to be seeing a Ringo and a Glaive. Ringo is one that we have not really seen much of in competitive the last couple of patches. He has really kind of gone by the wayside.
Having Baron off the table is kind of nice here because Ringo does generally in the early game outmatch that Vox just due to range. The Glaive pickup is nice though because we can definitely use this as a jungle pick or a captain pick. And with this pedal on the table, I would definitely expect to see the Glaive go over into that captain position and maybe like a jungle Scarf picked up fares really well into pedal. So we'll just have to see what they pick. It looks like they're teetering on the Samuel right now though.
Yeah, Samuel also works really well into the pedal because you can so easily take out all of her minions in very rapid succession with a empowered mouse and verdict or 2, but they can actually switch it up and go with the Ozo.
Yeah, Ozo definitely a pick that can work here into the pedal. I do think it's a little riskier because of the sheer melee effect and just the amount of engage you have to have, especially going into this fortress. Ozo's kit is based a lot around his health that he gains back from 3-Ring Circus and the fortified health he gains on his acro bounce. And the mortal wound coming out of fortress is definitely going to lower those values by quite a significant margin.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Well, we are ready to get into game number 1 as the teams have picked, and it's not that much longer, so kick it back over to you guys as we jump into the fold.
All right.
So as we get on into this one to nominate, it is going to be Vision Gaming on the blue side. Definitely the favorites in this matchup, but we'll see if their opponents, the members of Team Classified, are going to be able to upset the norm here because, again, picking the Ozo Ringo, it's so risky. There's a reason why we don't see either of those 2 heroes picked terribly frequently, and it's because they are relatively easy to deal with as long as you know what you are doing. And this Vision Gaming squad already going very aggressive into the jungle.
Yeah, and one thing I do want to make note of, we didn't see any of the teams start that typical rotation where the laner and jungler will split that back farm, but we do see Junie had caught a little bit of vision out here on Claw in the lane and is going to try to come back and get some of these back farms cleaned up and hopefully pick up a kill on Ringo too is probably what he's looking for here.
And, well, that's exactly what they're going to be trying to find. Ringo does get the Treant. That's going to give him a little bit of regen, but it just doesn't look like it's going to be nearly enough as Junie continues this chase. Still not level 2 for either of them, and that's going to be it, making this so much closer. Junie finds the first blood, narrowly avoiding going down himself. Meanwhile, up in the lane, though, Gimmick and Quotient just trying to get some farm done, trying to push this lane in. Because they need to do that because Stan and Solo and Chicken are currently controlling their side of the jungle.
They indeed are, and nice first kill out of Junie there, getting that bonus bounty gold. He's now coming to lane with 4 tier 1 items to Ringo's 2. And one thing we've seen in that last fight is the Ringo, when he bought originally at the shop, did not purchase any defense towards Junie. So when we get into the lane here, Junie does have defense, and he has the sustain from the Book of Eulogies, and the resonance bounces are really going to start to hurt this Ringo as the game goes on.
Well, right now it's still in the enemy jungle. Chicken and Stan and Solo are just making a living here as they find another kill, taking down Gimmick. And so that's going to just lead to further advantages. Junie has a huge wave of minions to farm. This could be an opportunity that they may look to dive onto for Team Classified, but instead it's just going to be Quotient trying to make up for his jungle getting lost, but it's going to be Claw getting jumped on by Chicken. Should have the movement speed to get out of this, as Chicken doesn't have that Truth of the Tooth available just yet to jump onto him once more. So instead, this is still going to be more jungle camps going the way of Team Vision. Quotient did get the 2 backs, but he's about to lose out on his entire jungle once again. So Claw maybe going to be looking to try and fend them off here. It's going to be 3-on-2 because Junie is back up in the lane. Stan, Solo, and Chicken may actually end up being in trouble. Acro Bounce going to come through. All 3 bounces connect. Chicken is low. Chicken's going to drop. Stan and Solo will fall as well. So that's 2 kills now answered back by Team Classified.
Yeah, and that's where you really got to be careful is when your laner is so far away, you really, really have to be wary of where the enemy laner is. You don't have any vision, and that puts you in a really dangerous spot for overstaying that deep in the enemy jungle.
Well, right now they're trying to find this kill onto Junie. He's so low, but they don't want to go diving under the turret. So Junie will get out of here alive. However, look at the CS difference in the lane. Junie with 25 to the 11 now of Claw. Claw does have a pretty sizable wave here to farm up, but Chickens and Solo are not going to give him the chance to do so, diving under the turret and finding themselves another kill.
Yeah, and a 3-2 early start here for these teams. Both teams looking pretty aggressive. We're developing a little over 1,000 gold lead for the side of Vision Gaming. And this Petal and Fortress are chasing down this Ozo with a passion.
This Sentry coming into the fray now is not going to be enough to stop them from killing Glaive once more. As Vision Gaming starting to really pull ahead. Look at the gold differential already. It's starting to approach 2,000 gold. It's just 4.5 minutes. Big item advantages. I mean, Claw went for a tension bow as a first item on Ringo. And we wonder if that's just because he knew he needed something to try and contend with this early pressure.
Yeah, and again,
speaking of that pressure, sorry to cut you off. Nope, never mind. They're not going to go for it. Just kidding. Down in the jungle, though. These teams are just not stopping fighting. They are constantly going after this aggression. Stan and Solo is going to be able to slow down Quotient with the Frostburn, and that's a kill for Stan and Solo. He's going to get hunted down pretty easily, though, in return. But now Junie and Chicken trying to go on to Claw. There's going to be the Sentry getting involved, so that is finally going to be them backing off a little bit.
Yeah, that tension bow proc, super dangerous for the Petal, who has just incredibly low health in general. So being that low, Ringo's able to delete her off the fold really quickly there. getting a little bit of a silver lining to the bad situation. Quotient did lose out on that middle health camp again. Definitely getting behind here. We see Petal's about to hit level 6, and against 2 melee heroes, that's where she's really going to start to excel and be a lot more dangerous as these fights go on.
5-3 are the kills. It hasn't been the cleanest of games thus far, but it's usually not a super clean game when you are just constantly trying to live in your opponent's jungle. Here's a big 3-on-3, our first real 3 versus 3, but Claw is already down. Stand Solo is healing up with the fountain and the spontaneous combustion. That's 2 kills secured for Vision Gaming. Make that a third. They find an ace 6 minutes in, and now they're going to look to try and push in and perhaps even take this tier 1 turret.
Yeah, huge ace coming out of the side of Vision there, putting up to a 3,000 gold lead and getting the map advantage, getting this first turret down. So that is going to be huge. Great decision out of them not to go for the gold mine, it only being half full. That's going to put 900 gold in their pockets and make it a lot riskier for this Ringo to farm.
They are indeed just going to make... that's all they've been doing this game is making it difficult for the members of Team Classified to farm. And you can tell that just from the CS discrepancies, 51-37 in the lane, 38-21 in the jungle. It is advantages across the board for Vision Gaming, as they have themselves a 4,000 gold advantage at just 7 minutes. They've been absolutely dominant, and now with all of the members starting to move up into the same spot, you got to assume they're going to look for another fight because it's what they've been doing all game, and Claw is just deleted. Gimmick is not going to last much longer. 2 more kills. The only reason they're not going to get an ace is because Quotient had just recalled back to base right before that engagement.
Yeah, and Junie doing really well with his farm on this Vox, a little maybe behind the top tier standard of, 10 per minute, but, right up there. The big thing is denying the farm of this Ringo, sitting only on 37 farm. Quotient going a little too far past his turret and getting cleaned up by Vision Gaming there.
And the turret goes down, and now Vision Gaming looking for Gimmick. Claw is right there as well. Are they going to go for more? It would be awfully greedy. Looks like they are going to go ahead and just back off and settle for clearing out this jungle once again. It's going to heal them up a little bit. The Crystal Sentry is going to get involved, but it's going to be defeated fairly pedestrian-like for Vision Gaming, as this is just looking too easy for them at the moment.
Yeah, and in the first couple rounds of the series, we are going to see some matchups like this. We have a bunch of teams with a lot of competitive experience, and this is definitely one of them. Chicken being one of the most notable names, just coming back from the London Unified Finals. Definitely a very established roamer. So, just things to keep in mind here early. So, we've already gotten Infusion picked up out of Junie here too. So they're definitely going to be stepping up the aggression here in just a short amount of time.
No, it'd be tough for them to step up the aggression any more than they already have. They're going in again, already taking down Claw. They're going to be finding a second kill onto Quotient. It's just Gimmick left, and Gimmick will not be lasting long. Ace comes through. Chicken is going to fall to the turret, but that is a small price for them to pay. They're juggling the turret aggro, trying to break out of it. Standing solo, and he's become Junie's going to take it. They just don't really care. They could have just backed off of that as a team and not taken about 4 extra turret shots, but the turret does go down regardless. Stand and Solo is low, so they're just going to be clearing out this jungle on their way out. Stand and Solo is going to get his recall canceled, but 14-4 with almost it's looking like an 8,000, almost 9,000 gold lead for the side of Vision Gaming at not even 10 minutes in. This is just an absolute really dominant performance from them.
Yeah, they're definitely showing that they are here to compete and that they want to make it into the VG8. And one thing that we noticed, Chicken may have overstayed a little under the turret there, didn't pop that fountain, maybe saving it. Perhaps there was a fight early after his respawn, wanted it to be up, because they can definitely close out the game here if they get another ace. And
absolutely could, and they're going to be looking for it. They've got 1 kill. Sentry's going to get involved. Lots of damage going on to Stand Solo, but it's not going to be enough. There's that ace we were just talking about. I don't know if they can necessarily finish just off that ace because the death timers are so short, but they have a big wave of minions pushing in that's going to strip the barrier off of these turrets. They may have to get another couple of kills before they can finish, but these turrets are going to be dropping simultaneously, and now they're on to the crystal. There's not even really going to be much of a fight put up here from Team Classified to try and stop this. They know where this game is at, and sub 11 minutes, Vision Gaming have picked up the first win of Challengers.
Yeah, really, really well played out of Vision there. Really pushed the early game aggression, with the Fortress Petal combination into the Ozo. Really denied a lot of farm there. Junie doing a really good job denying Ringo of farm, use that tension bow build to its full potential. Just really well played out of Vision Gaming, and this is definitely going to be one of the teams that we have to watch that I personally believe will be one of the contenders for the Challenger Series, Challenger Battles.
Yeah, absolutely. That was really, really, really fast. I think the few mistakes they made were just because of how aggressive they were and how aggressive they were able to keep pushing the envelope, Tasty.
Yeah, this was just nonstop aggression from the start. You can tell Vision Gaming, they felt like they were the stronger team when the game started, and they set out to prove just that.
Yeah, absolutely. And 10-minute games, or 11-minute game in this case. What can Classified do here as we get ready for this next matchup? Because you take a look at it, and they really didn't have an answer. The Ringo just seemed to be really out of sorts. We see a lot of people build that tension bow first, but maybe that's why we don't see a lot of Ringo, because it doesn't seem to synergize with Ringo quite as easily as maybe some other heroes.
Yeah, and Ringo is definitely one of those questionable picks. Yes, he handles really well into Vox, but picking him that early in a draft can be incredibly dangerous when you have a heavy engaging comp. And getting that Fortress on the table is really where we saw the Ringo fail, because Ringo wants to fight along that back line, and Fortress's ability to get his team into a fight makes it really, really difficult for Ringo to stay at a safe positioning.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's definitely a challenge as they just witnessed. And so now as we get ready for game number 2, they're going to have to go back to the drawing boards, figure out what went wrong, and try to get this sorted out. They're going to want to have a shot at Vision Gaming, but it's going to look pretty bleak so far, guys. With that, we're going to take a quick break, everybody. When we come back, we're going to get into game number 2. This is the round of 32 here in the winner's bracket as Vision Gaming looks to take down their first opponent and move on to the next round. We'll be right back after the break.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. We're getting ready for our second matchup here in our first series in the round of 32. It's Vision Gaming versus Team Classified. We just watched Vision Gaming deliver a stomp, guys. That was really one-sided. What can Classified do? We're going to go into this next game. They're going to be on A side now. The drafting, maybe they're going to have a little bit of a change here. The only thing that I think we can agree on is going to be consistent is, will we see the Baron Grumpjaw ban? I'm kind of surprised one of the teams chooses not to ban them so they could first pick one of those heroes.
Yeah, it's definitely a strategy you could use to bait out getting one of those heroes. Now, the risk is, okay, you don't ban one of them, you ban away a throwaway, ban Glaive. The other team then bans something like Vox. Now, Baron and Grumpjaw are both on the table. Which one do you pick? Baron definitely one of the strongest laners we're seeing right now, but Grumpjaw definitely a really good flex. We've seen it with varying success in both the jungle and captain positions, as well as we've seen a couple teams try to pull it off in the lane, putting up a really good fight doing so. Maybe not the best success rate for lane Grumpjaw so far, but definitely possible.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that we could see happen. I mean, we saw teams first pick Baron even because they feel like it's just to have that as your pick is way stronger than the risk of having it countered somehow down the draft. So looks like we are getting in here. Yeah, we just got to do a quick switch there.
I mean, unless if you guys want me to play.
No, it's all right. That's all right. All right. Yeah, I mean, we don't want Denominate to play as much as he wants to.
I do love this game.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree. I mean, I'm kind of curious to see this. Actually, it's really on Classified to make that kind of move, right? It's a risky move, but if anyone's going to make it, it kind of has to start with the Team Classified. We are getting into the draft, guys, so I'm going to kick it back over to you guys to take it away and see how it goes.
All right, we got a Baron coming off the board first, so I expect to see the Grumpjaw to follow suit. Unless if maybe Vision Gaming wants to bait out that Grumpjaw. We do know there's a couple heroes that are particularly good in the Grumpjaw. For example, Skye handles particularly well in that matchup. Catherine handles particularly well in that matchup. So we'll have to see where Vision Gaming goes with this.
Looks like they're actually going to be banning away the Vox. So they are going to let the Grumpjaw through. I expect Team Classified to go ahead and try and pick that up for themselves, unless they just aren't necessarily comfortable with the Grumpjaw, because I feel like giving that over to the side of Vision Gaming is a mistake. They're going to go for the Lyra. I'm not too sure about this one, Denominate.
I'm not too sure either, especially with the aggression, the raw aggression that we've seen out of Vision Gaming. If they pick this Grumpjaw up and run it really aggressively in the jungle, I think we're going to see a very similar outcome as the last game. Very, very quick, a lot of aggression, and a lot of success on those aggressive dives.
Well, they're going to go ahead and take a Lance, so not going for the Grumpjaw, at least not yet. Could we potentially see Grumpjaw actually just go through? No, it looks like Chicken is going to go ahead and grab this one. I was going to say, it'd be very, very, I would be stunned if they don't go ahead and lock this Grumpjaw in. They are going to pick that up. It fits into their play style almost perfectly. And like you said, this could spell some trouble for the side of Team Classified.
Yeah, definitely like that they did not allow that Grumpjaw to go over, especially with the Lance. We discussed several times that, Catherine, Lyra, Skye really good into the Grumpjaw. Lance, maybe not so much, because he doesn't have quite as reliable of a stun as someone like Catherine or Glaive. But here we see this Skye pickup, and we see a Scarf pickup. So to me, this is a very high risk, high reward scenario. I don't think we're going to see a Weapon Skye. I definitely think this is going to be a double Crystal Power comp going into this Grumpjaw. If they can make it to the late game, it will probably work. But
that's
seeing how aggressive Vision Gaming was last game with that Petal and Fortress combination, this Grumpjaw is a lot more tanky. He has a lot of movement in his kit where he has escape potential over walls. I definitely think we're going to see some safer invades coming out of Vision Gaming here. If they can close out the game early, which if they play the Grumpjaw right, should happen. But if we make it to late game, this Skye and Scarf can really put a hurt on this Grumpjaw count. And it does indeed look like we are seeing the double crystal. So if we get a lot of shield prioritization early out of stand and solo, it's going to be great. The living armor, gives him that inherent armor and shield, so that's already a good start for him. Part of what allows Grumpjaw to be so aggressive so early is just how hard he is to kill.
And here we go with that early aggression already from Vision Gaming. They're going to be looking to go in. They have a very strong level 1 comp. And they're just going to be actually looking to steal away these camps. They're going to get 2 of those minions. No, it's just one of them that went over to stand and solo, I believe. And they're not going to find any kills here either. So good job by Team Classified to ensure that they minimize the damage. But now their jungle is going to be forfeit, as that's stand and solo clearing out the Treant, and they're going to rotate over, try and catch Team Classified in this rotation to their own backs, and Claw is going to get caught up. Double root, first blood, Vision Gaming.
Yeah, really, really dangerous rotation there. The backs were already cleared, so we know there's not a lot of time that Vision Gaming is going to spend in your jungle. So really, really risky to try to make that pass, especially going on such a squishy hero. That Skye, before she gets level 2, before she has that Suri Strike, is just vulnerable to so much damage from this Lance and Grumpjaw.
Well, that's going to be Lyra getting rooted up again. Standing solo, tries to steal the Treant, does not take it. It actually goes over to Gimmick. And so now they're going to be on the retreat, looking to get out of this jungle. Chicken will eat a good amount of damage. Standing solo, he's actually going to recognize the opportunity and go in for the backs. So nice job there by Standing Solo. Team Classified will go ahead and take the Ancient Treant while they have the opportunity. Well, up in the lane, Junie's actually taken a lot of damage from the Scarf. That's almost a kill returned. Junie's going to have to be extremely careful. Has a few potions left. Is going to actually go ahead and pop one of those. Chicken, also very low. Dodges that Spitfire. That was important. Nice root. Can they actually get a good trade here?
Standing solo getting really low from the Skye, and that is going to be a kill going over to the side of, oh man, drawing a blank on the name here.
Team Classified.
Team Classified, yeah, that's right. I was like, TC. So, really good kill. Standing solo, definitely, like we discussed before, being aggressive, but maybe staying a little too long. I definitely think we're going to see a lot of shield prioritization early on in the game out of Chicken here, knowing that he has to frontline that damage for this Gwen. Both Scarf and the Skye are very directional damage heavy. So if Chicken's able to body block some of that damage and then get a root to follow up, allow Junie to get in and get the damage down, that's going to be their win condition, is lock down either the Skye or the Scarf, allow Junie to get the damage down, and just push to win after that.
That's exactly what the plan's going to be. Standing solo, I would also expect to see a good bit of shield coming out of as well. He's going to be on those front lines. That's a nice job getting both of those camps. Team Classified able to secure those away from Standing Solo. But now the first items are starting to come out. Junie does get the Tension Bow finished. Junie is behind in CS to Quotient. So Quotient's been doing a really good job with this Scarf thus far.
He's also cleaned up all of the jungle farm that they were able to keep the side of Vision Gaming from stealing. We've seen that Spitfire and Goop clean up both of the backs there for 96 gold apiece.
Yeah, and while that's good for Team Classified, it's also is putting Claw very far behind. Claw's been invaded multiple times, only has 8 CS on this Skye, and that's not going to be getting the job done right now. Chicken not going to quite hit the Impale in the lane. So he has to back off. Standing solo, though, 1v2. He's able to get a good chunk of damage down to Claw, but is it going to be enough with Chicken rotating? Looks like they may want to go in more, but nope. They do think better of it. Standing solo eating a lot of forward barrage damage. He's going to be in some trouble, perhaps, as Chicken, again, is not able to hit that Impale. With Quotient rotating down, it is a good time for Vision to back off, but Standing solo is going right back in. Double stun comes through from the Githian wall. Nice double root, but it's just the damage is not there. They find the kill on the Standing solo. Chicken blocks the Spitfire for Junie, but now Chicken is at risk of falling and will go down, and all of a sudden Team Classified are the ones finding the advantage. Junie with a big Tension Bow proc onto Gimmick, but it won't be enough.
Won't be enough, and we already see this Frostburn coming out of the Scarf here, which is huge. I think we discussed the aggression that comes out of Vision Gaming here, and Standing Solo going boldly deep with his low of health he was. Yes, he has that additional armor, but Scarf and Skye are able to put down a lot of damage, and we really see it come out there. That Goop was able to just take him off the map, with how low he was.
This is looking much, much better for Team Classified here in game number 2 than it did in game number 1. Maybe they were just caught off guard by the level of aggression that was coming out from Vision Gaming, and in game number 2 they're much more prepared for it. Obviously much more prepared for it, as they're able to dissuade a lot of this early aggression, even against a Grumpjaw and Lance combo, which is so strong in the early game. But now they're going to be rotating up, trying to collapse onto them, trying to sandwich them in. They're going to get Claw taken down. Gimmick is at risk of falling too. He will go down. It's a double kill for Junie. And just like that, it is Vision Gaming evening up the kill line.
Yeah, indeed, and that is now 3-3. Pretty negligible gold lead here. Sitting at about 500. Definitely don't think they're going to have the damage to take this turret. Scarf is really good at clearing wave now that he's got some points put into his abilities. Really going to be interested to see what we see come out first on Claw. We already have the Frostburn on the Scarf, so I could see skipping the Frostburn on Sky, but maybe with as much mobility as the side of Vision Gaming has, they may need to go into a double Frostburn to keep them in the damage.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I do think they may end up skipping that initial Frostburn and going right into the Broken Myth as the first item. It's very much a possibility. They're going to find a route onto Gimmick, a nice stun. Taking a lot of damage, but can Junie actually get in there for the big burst that they're looking for? Yes, they will. Junie is able to find the kill, and now that's going to be Sky getting eaten and spit out right into the wall for a Githian wall stun. Standing solo, chases that one down, finishes off the kill. The Crystal Sentry is still trying to do work, but isn't going to be able to find a kill for the Team Classified. Junie gets back into the lane. Quotient needs to be a little bit careful, even though Standard and Chicken are low. They can still go in, but the Impale misses, and that's going to be a lifesaver for Quotient.
It is an awesome synergy there out of Chicken and standing solo on this Lansing Grumpjaw, turning around, making sure you get that chain stun down. Just really well played out of them so far. And, Claw is finally getting to see some of his jungle here, so that'll be good. We'll start getting a little bit more item progression here on this Sky, which is going to become a bigger danger for this Grumpjaw as the game goes on. The Spitfire accuracy coming out of Quotient, though, on the Scarf has really been impressing me so far, Bacon.
Yeah, it's been really, really nice. Able to get a lot of poke and harass down, and able to prevent Quotient from being in too much danger. At most times, the only member of the team that has not given a kill over to the side of Vision Gaming. But look at this early infusions once again for Vision. It's Junie picking one up at level 7. We'll see what level it actually gets used at. Eve of Harvest for Scarf is going to be pretty big, though, no?
Eve of Harvest is going to be huge for Scarf, and we do see this Frostburn over here on Sky, and getting picked off by this Grumpjaw, and no stuns on the side of Vision to prevent the Grumpjaw if the Sky ult does not go down. That is their only stun. That is their only way, once somebody is swallowed, to get your friend back and help get the damage down.
Oh, big root from Chicken. The turret is going to do a lot of work onto him, but that was, if you got to figure if Standing Solo was there for that route, they would have easily had at least one more kill. They still may end up with one because Junie has so much damage on the Grimmick, but Grimmick narrowly portals out of harm's way, and Quotient will actually be the one that finds the kill.
Quotient finds the kill, but Grumpjaw finds himself a full gold mine for his team, so trading away one kill for a gold mine and for the time of having that Lyra have to back because of how dangerous low she was, I think that's a win all day for the side of Vision Gaming.
Oh, absolutely. Trading one kill for a gold miner, a full gold miner that is always worth it. I say one kill for a turret is always worth it. Similar situation here with the gold miner. The only downside is that it was a pretty big gold bounty that went over because Junie was sitting at 4-0 prior to this, but now they're going to be going in onto the Scarf. That's a lot of damage on the Quotient. Can they actually find the kill? Nice bulwark will snare them up, but it's just not going to be enough. The Stuffed was used there. Not sure if that was really needed from Standing Solo, and it's going to prevent them from being able to really perhaps even find another kill under this turret, but they're going to be going in under the turret regardless. Chicken gets stunned up, but the turret goes down, and now they're going to chase down. Nice buckshot from Junie will slow up Gimmick and Claw, but they're not quite willing to go diving under the next turret just yet.
Yeah, and I didn't see all of the cooldowns for Chicken, but I definitely know Stan Solo was on cooldown on his Grumpy and his Hangry. So I think because Junie was out of range, I think the stuffed ultimate was used just specifically to secure the kill so they could get the turret down. Working out really well for them. That is now a positional advantage that they have on the map. So, I think, now that they're able to deny this Scarf a little bit more farm, I think these fights are going to start leaning pretty heavily for the next couple minutes into the side of Vision Gaming. But this Sky is going to keep ramping up, almost able to complete her Broken Myth now.
Oh, Scarf gets knocked back into the waiting arms of a Gwen. And that's an easy kill. That's going to be Stuffed eating up the Lyra, spinning around right next to the turret. Portals her way out, but it's just going to get dove right back on once more. Chicken is going to be falling to this turret. No, not quite, actually. Standing Solo, is he going to go down? No, he doesn't either. Somehow Vision Gaming able to get out of this one without giving up a kill.
Pretty wild how low these guys keep dropping underneath turret aggro and don't seem to just want to die from it. So, really well played out of them. Maybe staying a little too far trying to get that Sky kill. Probably could have had an easier time cleaning out some jungle, maybe picking up this half-full gold mine. Instead, they're going to have to back off. We do have the Aftershock now completed with the Storm Crown for Stan Solo. His abilities are going to be up a lot more frequently as these games go on. A lot of shield coming out of the side of Vision Gaming here. We really need to see these Broken Myths completed on Quotient and Claw if we want to see them win these fights. There's just not enough damage there right now.
All right, well, with the damage that has been coming out from Vision Gaming, you got to figure they're once again going to be getting an immense gold payout. Grumpjaw just taking that on his own, standing Solo, living up to his name. They're going to go into the jungle as well, steal away this Treant, and just, again, start topping up some damage infusions for both Junie and Stand-In Solo. Level 10 infusions each, excuse me. And so, again, just a sign that they want to look for even more fighting. They've been able to find some nice rotations and get some good picks as a result. Stand Solo is just going to go right in onto the Sky. Bulwark does come down.
Oh,
wow. What
the damage on the Sky, just, there's, we have such a prioritization from the side of Team Classified here, but we see this Eve is completed out of Claw.
Big impale. That's going to be another kill going over. Just Grimmick left alive. I don't think they have enough. That's a point-blank portal that was used as well. You can see the two orbs are pretty much on top of each other. Junie's going to get a lot of damage on this turret. Stand-In Solo picks up the Treant to heal up. They're going to be able to take this turret down. May end up losing one or two members for this if they don't be careful, but that's going to be Claw spit out next to the wall and again immediately just slammed into it. They're still not done. Junie is still fairly healthy. Junie or Chicken and Stand Solo cannot say the same as they're trying to run out of here. Chicken nearly getting hit by that last Spitfire, and finally Vision Gaming will back off, but they are just once more taking complete control of this game.
And finally, we see a Broken Myth completed out of this Scarf here, but we still don't have one on Sky, and we have no defense at all against this Gwen on Sky. And that's why we see these big 400, 500, 600 damage spikes immediately coming out of Gwen, taking Sky out of the fight incredibly early, leaving Quotient and Gimmick to try to, fight a 2v3 that's just not looking good for them.
If there's one thing that I have not been impressed by from Vision Gaming, which there hasn't been much that hasn't been impressive from them, it's the coordination between Stand Solo and Junie, as they're going to actually be finding another fight in the jungle that's stuffed onto the Scarf. They're going to spit him out right next to Junie for a kill. Aces High comes through, does not hit anyone, but doesn't need to because this Lance from Chicken is on point. Grimmick's going to try and take them as far away from the base as possible, but didn't really make a whole lot of progress. And now with Ace Buff minions pushing in, this could be Vision Gaming looking to finish this off and take their series 2-0. We're just now hitting the 15-minute mark. and they are about to finish this game off. 11 minutes and 15 minutes, respectively. Scarf can't get anything going as Junie is they're going to go for some kills perhaps. Now they turn their attention back to the crystal, and they finish the game off. Vision Gaming in absolutely dominant performance here in their first Challenger Series match, and they take it 2-0.
Yeah, clean 2-0, really quick games out of them, looking really good as a team so far. You did mention, maybe we need to see a little bit more teamwork out of Stan and Solo and Junie. I think Chicken and Stan and Solo, very impressive this series, though.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think overall this was really downhill from the draft. We had the draft. It just when you give away a Grumpjaw, you have to be prepared with a counterable composition to run. Bringing no stuns to the table into Grumpjaw, you're essentially giving the enemy a win. So it's hopefully going forward in these games with other teams, if we do see that Grumpjaw make it through the draft, I definitely think that we're going to see a little bit more prioritization on Catherine, more prioritization on Glaive, heroes that have really reliable stuns, because that Grumpjaw ultimate is just so deadly, especially when you're ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was pretty surprising. The first pick, Lyra, I think, caught all of us by surprise. And the bulwark does help a little bit against the aggression, but so many people who play Grumpjaw know how to be patient, to wait for that bulwark cooldown to drop, and then they can go in again. And the cooldowns on Grumpjaw are so short that a bulwark's not going to stop you once you decide to go in. If anything, it prevents you from taking damage for maybe going in too soon. So yeah, Grumpjaw, you got to have some stuns there, guys. I mean, that was, unfortunate at that.
Unfortunate indeed, but that's going to be a 2-0 win coming out for Vision Gaming here. We'll get to see them. They probably won't be streamed again today, but going into the days ahead, we'll have to see as the matchups get closer and closer. We'll have to see how they really perform, and if that synergy is quite there.
No, absolutely. A lot to see out of them. I mean, a lot of hope that they continue to perform as we expect. But as you were saying, it did seem a little messy. I mean, they won the games very quickly, Day, but it seemed like they were just so motivated on ending quickly that maybe that was what was driving their mistakes. They didn't seem like they were definitely prioritizing a clean game, because there was a lot of ups and downs, and it just seemed like when they decided to fight, though, their mechanical skills were very impressive.
Yeah, they looked really well fighting together. Again, I think there were some missed opportunities with some chain stun out of Junie, maybe not communicating well enough where the stun chain was going. We've seen a bunch of missed aces highs due to that. Lance in particular trying to stun somebody, maybe knocking them out of the aces high. I saw happen a couple times. So maybe just tighten up the coordination a little bit, and I think this is definitely going to be a team that can go to the end.
Absolutely. Well, with that, guys, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be bringing you guys our second series of the day. It's going to be jumping over to the second round in the winner's bracket. It'll be the round of 16. You guys aren't going to want to miss it as we get underway, and it's going to be an exciting matchup as now the competition heats up that much faster. So you're definitely going to be a more compelling match at that. So with that, we'll be right back. We'll see you guys after the break.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.
Hey everybody, welcome back. We are underway here waiting for our next matchup to take place. And the matchup that we're actually waiting, it's ironic that it's the last team to actually get the results in Fable GG versus Unity. So a little bit of time left before we'll jump into that. Of course, the winner of that is going to be facing off Immortals. We've got most of the Immortals roster here in-game ready to go. So as soon as the Fable GG versus Unity match concludes, we'll be able to get right into our next matchup. But we came back, guys, to talk a little bit about, how we've gone so far and if there are any surprises. And I think, guys, for the most part, not a lot of surprises. Let's take a look at the bracket for Group A as we get right into it, guys. And so far, everything has been playing out as expected. We've had 0 upsets.
Yeah, so far no upsets, but I mean, with the teams that we have in this first half of the season, Immortals, Lost in the Echo, Intensity, Vision, Misfits, Infinity Rebirth.
These are strong teams.
There are some strong competition in this Challenger Series as we go forward. And, a lot of big names. As we drop a little further in here, we have a Seed 8 versus Seed 9, Lost in the Echo versus Intensity coming up. That ought to be a pretty huge game to watch. Mm-hmm. And Infinity Rebirth versus Misfits, I also think should be a pretty close matchup there.
No, I absolutely agree as well. I mean, that one is, an 8 seed versus a 9 seed for the Lost in Echoes versus Intensity. The 5 Misfits versus 12 seed Infinity Rebirth, another exciting team. It's really, when you get into the top 10 or 15 teams, Denominate, it's really hard to know where that seeding is separated, right? Like, what's the difference between a 5 seed and a 12 seed? We really don't know, and they got to prove it here on the fold. That's where it all comes down, because it's not like we know. I mean, I think most people can conclude that Immortals roster is pretty significantly above a 10 seed roster here, but after that, it does become a little bit harder to gauge. And so upsets in the second round, which is really exciting, how we are going to be moving into round 2 for the winners bracket, is because we are going to be able to start seeing some of those tighter games unfold, and maybe even a few ones. We will be actually streaming the Misfits versus Infinity Rebirth matchup after the Immortals one. So if you guys are here for some Misfits gameplay, you're not going to want to go anywhere. That one's going to be exciting. Let's take a little bit of a look at the loser bracket. We do have some of that winding up, and we're going to be getting those matches in too. And I think probably one of the teams that so far that's made it down to losers, I feel like has a decent shot is actually I've heard a lot of good stuff from the team of Witch Doctors and Faint Gaming. So they're the highest 2 seeds here as well. We'll have to see, if they can buck the trend of, trying to grind through the loser bracket. It's the hardest bracket to grind through. And so we'll just have to kind of weigh it out and see how it all plays out. Going back up here to the winners bracket though, I think one of the toughest matchups that we have in front of us to really call is going to be Lost in the Echo versus Intensity VG. A lot of people saying they are absolutely a top tier team. We just haven't really gotten enough sample size on competitive tournaments to see that play out.
Yeah, and one of the huge things about the Challenger Series teams is these are a lot of teams that we know. A lot of the players that they've been on different teams here throughout the Challenger Series, but what we really need to be looking out for is the teams that play consistently. It's not so much about a skill matchup here, because a lot of the teams seem to be very close as far as particular mechanics and things of that nature, but it really comes down to the decision making in game and how consistent you are. Your ability to not go on tilt, that's going to be huge, and your endurance in playing long series, your knowledge of draft, all these more psychological things that add up other than just mechanical skill.
Yeah. No, I mean, absolutely. Now, I have been able to pull up game number 1 between Fable GG and Fable GG and Unity, and Fable GG does have the first win. A pretty intense matchup, actually. I'm taking a look at it. It is somewhat one-sided. Fable GG did seem to win pretty strong, pretty even-handedly. They got a Kraken, they got all, were able to take out all the turrets. So, but it was a close game. I mean, we're taking a look at, so these two teams here, Unity and Fable GG, going head-to-head. We could have a game 3, and if we do, ladies and gentlemen, we will jump to that for a game 3 before we get into this game with Immortals and the winner of this matchup. But that game number 1 between those two teams lasted 24 minutes. I have to imagine that, just very, very intense competition between these two teams. It could be having another long game as we speak.
Yeah, and in these past couple patches, we've definitely seen games play out much longer than we have in the past. One of the heaviest things that we can attribute that to is the jungle shop change, not spawning until 4 minutes. But, definitely the meta has shifted to be a very, pick an early game jungler, early game captain, maybe pick a later game laner, because the games do tend to just last a bit longer than they have in the past.
Yeah, they do. I mean, the game has allowed, with like the strats you said, Vainglory has really focused on ensuring that you can't just win by snowballing the first 2 minutes. And because of that, the longer games open up the strategy immensely. It opens up the hero compositions. There are still a lot of very late game heroes that, you really have to be wary picking when the game was so early game focused, but now seem to come into a little bit of viability here. So as we get into it, we do have a quick update. It does look like Found Kings have won their matchup 2-0. Yep, Found Kings won versus Ascension. And that actually, not a surprise. They are the higher seeded team again. So no upsets yet.
No upsets yet, but I mean, that's why they're called upsets, is because it's not the expected outcome. These teams are seeded this way for a reason. So, we have seen before in the past. Look at the last split of VIS Pro. It was the season of upsets. It was upset after upset after upset. So, we definitely can see them. They're just with the skill level that we're at here. I think it's going to be a lot less common.
I agree. It's definitely and we also reduced down to 32, so there's a lot less wasted time. We saw a lot of teams consolidate to the top tier players rising to the top in challengers. So although the challengers is as stacked as ever, it is definitely very top heavy. I would say still very top heavy. Maybe a little bit more even because you've got a lot of the top talent rising to the top across all 32 teams. But really, not surprised that we see like the top 5 teams in this Challenger Series as arguably some of the best 5 teams we've ever seen come out of Challengers. As we wait, though, everybody, for this next matchup, we're going to be waiting a little bit longer. So just please bear with us. We're going to go on one more quick break. And when we come back, hopefully we'll be able to get you guys into Game 1 between Immortals and whoever is lucky enough or unlucky, depending on how you're viewing it, to go into that Juggernaut. And Dave, we were talking about before too, we were really excited to see Immortals play. This is a roster that's got a lot of hype. We've seen them in some other tournaments, but to see them come into Challengers for the first time is definitely going to be a treat.
Yeah, and I think, you throw out there that we see in other tournaments. We really need to name these tournaments, T-Tigers was on the team that won the first actual live championship. That is huge. And then, DMZO, same thing. He's competed several times at that level, going to pretty much all of the live events ever. And winning a couple of them. He's got some second places underneath his belt, and he's got a first place underneath his belt from, I believe, spring of 16. Mm-hmm. So, these are huge names in the Vainglory community. So this is definitely going to be a team to watch from today, tomorrow, next week, all the way through to the Challenger battles.
Absolutely. It really is. And we're going to be watching them soon, guys. And again, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be getting you guys into the action, into our very next matchup here on the VIS League.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.
Hey everybody, welcome back. This is the VIS League bringing you guys the Split 1 Summer Challengers, and we are finally able to get ready for our second series of the day. It is Immortals versus Fable GG, and hey guys, we had to wait a while for this one, although we did actually, if you check the schedule, we were planning a little bit later start depending if the first series went to 3 games, which it did not. But this one's definitely going to be interesting. This is going to be our first time seeing Immortals in the Challengers. And we've really got to say, this is a really hyped roster. So without waiting too much longer, guys, I think we're actually ready to get into it. So let's get into the draft.
Alrighty, getting into the draft here, I definitely expect to see some Grumpjaw and Baron love shown here. I don't think at 2.6 you can really let them through too heavily. There are some counters to Grumpjaw, but he's so annoying to play against that you just take him off the table. Neither team gets him. That allows a nice, easy Vox pickup for the side of Immortals here. And not only is it a Vox pickup, it's going to be a Dienzio Vox pickup, which is an absolutely huge hero for him.
Yeah, it's one of his signature heroes. I mean, the kid's got multiple signature heroes, but Vox is definitely one of the ones that he has played a whole ton of. It's going to be the Kestrel coming out from the side of Fable, so that's a pick that we haven't seen a whole lot of. Iraqi Zoro played it to great success in the Vainglory 8 this past weekend. And so perhaps going to be looking to try and replicate some of that. For Immortals, I would expect them to maybe go for an Arden pickup here for their captain. And they're actually going to go with the Lyra instead. Okay, so interesting. I had a feeling that, I know they've been working on Arden a lot. Arden's been very popular. But then this Koshka for T-Tigers, this is another one of those signature heroes for Immortals. And look for T-Tigers to make some very aggressive plays early on in this game.
Yeah, aggressive is definitely not even really the easiest way to put it for him, because aggression is natural to him anyway. Having someone so early game dominant as a Koshka is huge. And we see the Baptiste come out, which is a counter to Koshka. One thing we gotta focus on, though, is yes, we've seen Kestrel in the past with varying success. You mentioned Iraqi Zoro over the weekend. Over the weekend, we were still playing in 2.5, and Kestrel had some pretty sizable buffs this patch. She has a lower cooldown on her Glimmer shots being back up, as well as, I believe, an additional 2 seconds on her heroic perk, which allows her to keep up her energy much better so long as she stays relevant in a fight or even just hitting minions. So those are 2 huge things that Kestrel now brings to the table that she may have struggled with in the past. So,
well, we'll find out how it can do here. I think one of the other big keys is going to be reflex blocks, because Zen Master Blue is on this Baptiste. Reflex block for T-Tigers is going to be super important, but this is actually going to be an interesting move, and Max Green is going to go aggressively far forward and see how much he tries to push this while Koshka starts on the backs. Koshka has a very quick initial clear speed. Max Green is not going to be able to find any harassment as far as trying to steal or slow down the jungle camps of Fable GG, but he is going to be buying time for T-Tigers. We've seen this move happen from teams in Vainglory 8, where if they have this Koshka, they make this aggressive move with the captain, let Koshka clear out her jungle, and then rotate over as a team and look for first blood immediately after. You can see Koshka's actually going to go up into the lane instead. So sort of shaking that up a little bit. Now Max Green is going to be rotating for it as well.
Yeah, and one thing we gotta remember about Immortals is these guys are really good when it comes to surprising the enemy. So I think that's something that they really plan on, is a huge kill going over to T-Tigers early. That's first blood on a Koshka, not where you want to give that gold up to. Zen Master Blue being pretty aggressive here. This is going to be worrying me, and he does burn the Ordained on Max Green, which allows T-Tigers to aggress very heavily, and that is going to be a second kill coming out for Immortals.
Yeah, this one's going to go over to Max Green, and now they can perhaps look for even more, as Izzy has returned, started up this Treant, but T-Tigers is going to be looking to steal that one away. He gets it and should be able to get out. No, he wants more. He's going to stick around and look for these back camps. This is now going to get really risky, because Zen Master Blue is coming back as well. Not going to throw out the bad mojo to try and catch T-Tigers. So excellent start here for T-Tigers on this Koshka, stealing away a lot of the jungle from Zen Master.
Yeah, doing really well, especially since Batiste is such a good hero in the early game. He does a lot of damage with little items. And with that stun of Catherine, they really can put a lot of hurt down. But we have to make sure we do not burn that Ordained on the Koshka. Before the Reflex block comes out, this is your time to capitalize. Koshka is an early game hero. Baptiste is really good all around throughout the game. So if he can really defend himself here early against T-Tigers by getting that Ordained down properly, then he's going to fare a lot better moving into the later parts of the game.
Up in the
Huge
lane.
kill.
Ordained was thrown down onto D'Enzio. He immediately just dashed out of it and got the stun onto himself, baited Fable in because T-Tigers was right around the corner, and they find the kill onto both Adrian and Zen Master. So 2 more kills going the way of Immortals.
Yeah, and T-Tigers does find that health camp, but Adrian coming in, putting a lot of pressure down with those glimmer shots now. Does not steal it, but T-Tigers might have overstayed. He does get out. A missed glimmer shot allows him to make out alive. And Max Green should be able to heal him up here in a second, but I definitely don't think they can go back in.
Yeah, as T-Tigers starts up this tree, and he's going to go back in, doesn't get it, and that could be trouble. That's going to be a nice stun from the Catherine. One more shot will do it. T-Tigers, can he escape? He is going to get out. So he dodges that last glimmer shot just narrowly. Somehow, T-Tigers does not pay for these incredibly greedy plays he's looking to make.
He doesn't pay, and in a perfect world, if T-Tigers would have been able to steal that Elder Treant in the middle, I could have seen a very heavy engaged turnaround from Max and T-Tigers there to find this Kestrel. So very fortunate for the side of Fable that they were able to get that Treant and not allow T-Tigers to have that health regeneration.
And excellent job by Immortals to start this off. And you look in the lane, even during all of this, D'Enzio, he just sat up there farming while Adrian was trying to chase T-Tigers around. So the lane CS is now starting to become a bit of a lopsided affair. D'Enzio at 40, he's about to get to his 43rd, 44th CS, whereas Adrian is sitting on 26. So that's a big difference in terms of the farm. And D'Enzio, if you give him a lead, you are not going to be enjoying your time on the Halcyon Fold. Although they're going to look up, come try and make something happen here, but there's no chance as Immortals back off immediately.
Yeah, and again, this is this team that we talk about. This is a championship team. They, with the exception of Max Green, both of these guys have seen championship gameplay, and a huge level 6 stun comes out here out of Tigers, and that is a nice easy cleanup kill there on Adrian, which is going to force him to miss even more CS, allowing D'Enzio to get even further ahead, and now a very aggressive rotation down here out of T-Tigers.
Just what we expect. T-Tigers going to start up this Treant, try and get this one. He steals it away. The Crystal Sentry gets involved, and that will be enough for Immortals to back off, at least temporarily. They have all the advantages here in the first 5.5 minutes, already building themselves up a 3,000 gold lead this early in the game. This is so incredibly impressive what we're seeing here.
Yeah, 5-0 with a 3,000 gold lead, and as these death timers start to get longer, Adrian really has to be a bit more careful on this Kestrel because they're starting to really build up the damage. D'Enzio has completed that Poison Shiv. T-Tigers has completed that Aftershock. So if we get a clean kill on Adrian here in the lane and the Batiste is not here to defend the turret, then we're going to see a very dead turret and a map positional advantage out of Immortals.
Immortals already looking for pressure again in the lane. This is what they want to do. They want to just find opportunities down in the jungle. T-Tigers does get rooted up by the Treant. This could be really bad for him with the Sentry. Gets the healing from Max Green and will be able to get out of there alive. Thankfully, thanks to that captain play. And now up in the lane, they got these minions pushing in. Adrian's going to be able to clear those out. But all of a sudden, Immortals, T-Tigers, he was at heavy risk of going down. Now all of a sudden, he's at 3/4 health. And Immortals might even be looking to look for a kill on Adrian. Oh, he goes a little too far forward and just gets popped.
Indeed, drops very quickly there, and Zen Master Blue is now rotating down to shop, going to pick up that Shatterglass. He really, when he's seen Adrian die, he should have came up. Baptiste has a lot of lane clear possibility, and that's going to be, like I said, as soon as Adrian dies next, that's going to be first turret for Immortals, looking really good for them. Another 900 gold in their pockets, as well as the potential to steal away a little bit of jungle farm here. But it looks like the health trend is not up yet. Max Green definitely waiting for it. T-Tiger's checking to see if it's there. And the Baptiste coming over to check, and here it is up. We're going to see it contested again. T-Tigers does get it.
And they're going to continue fighting. T-Tigers gets dropped really
damage.
low. I don't know if he's going to be able to get out of this one alive. The healing sigil with the movement speed gets him out of there. Immortals just absolutely on the same page. Even when they maybe make a little bit of a mistake, stay too long, never mind. They're going to turn around and punish it right back. T-Tigers is very low, but he doesn't even care. Just jumps right back in. They find 2 more kills. Movement speed for D'Enzio to get onto Izzy. Look at the damage. Already 2 tier 3 items for D'Enzio. He's going to just continue chasing. It's not going to be an ace, but it will be another kill. Crystal Sentry's going to go down as well. Immortals are just decimating Fabled GG here in the first 8 minutes.
Yeah, first 8 minutes, and T-Tiger's dangerously low here. No energy, very low on health. This should be a kill for Zenmaster Blue. T-Tigers cannot make it out. If he would have made it out again, I would have been absolutely speechless.
Yeah, that would have been... I mean, that's the point where if he had somehow figured out some way to get out of there, you just put the phone down and walk away for a while. Like, you just stop playing. But right now, it's going to be a 2-on-2. D'Enzio has plenty of damage to throw onto this Baptiste. He's going to be able to find that kill. Here comes Adrian, though, making this right back to another 2-on-2, but it doesn't matter. Adrian has fallen, and now Izzy is going to be chased out. Max Green is low, has no energy. D'Enzio is very low on energy as well, but it doesn't matter. There is an ace 9 minutes in. Immortals are just running wild.
Running wild, and D'Enzio burning a little bit of an ult there on wave, trying to get those resonance bounces. Nice clean kill on the wave, which is going to allow him to get a little bit more damage down here on the turret. I don't know if they're going to be able to take it. Nope, good Fearsome Shade coming out of Zenmaster Blue there. Gonna save that last little bit of damage. 2 items now complete on D'Enzio with 3,000 gold in his pocket, so enough to complete another item.
This is just going to get scarier and scarier. Right now, they're trying to find a kill onto D'Enzio, but D'Enzio is chasing them into the jungle. Zenmaster Blue has D'Enzio low. T-Tiger's low as well, but are they going to be turning it around? There's the fountain, there's the healing sigil, and all of a sudden, Immortals are split up. This isn't the best of situations for them. The Crystal Sentry being involved as well is making this that much more difficult. They're going to steal away jungle camps on their way out of this jungle, of this precarious situation. T-Tigers has rotated around as well. Sentry's still there, though. Sentry's still angry. Sigil goes down. They're going to be able to find T-Tigers. D'Enzio on the backside trying to 1v3, essentially. It's not going to work out. And Immortals maybe finally getting punished for their over-aggression. Max Green eats a one-shot, but it doesn't do anywhere near enough damage. He will be able to walk away with that sigil.
Yeah, walking away he does, and definitely a little bit of an overstay out of the side of Immortals there. We've seen that Crystal Sentry laying down heavy damage, and to lose out D'Enzio and T-Tigers there, who were both up at 5 kills with 0-1 deaths, those are some sizable bounties going over to the side of Fable here, and granted, there is still a 6,000 gold lead on the side of Immortals. It's not the 8,000 gold lead we were sitting at.
Yeah, it's that, like you said, it was a lot of gold. It's still not going to be enough to close that deficit significantly enough to say that, oh, they're right back in this game. But it's going to go a long way towards the confidence for Fable GG, as Max Green's going to get rooted. I don't think he's going to mind that too much as the Treant falls shortly after. And Immortals still have this huge lead there. It's going to be an infusion for D'Enzio, level 10 infusion, and they look like they want to try and find something here, but they don't want to make the same mistake they just did previously and fight around that sentry without getting a significant chunk of damage out onto their opponents first. They're going to jump right on this turret. Turret's going to go down. Now they can look for a fight. Lots of damage onto the Baptiste. Nice Fearsome Shade will get him out of there. Will we be able to say the same for the rest of the team? Looks like they are going to be able to retreat just far enough. T-Tigers can get a little bit of a heal, but Zio is going all in under the turret. They are going to find one kill. T-Tigers get stunned up, but he's not outside of turret. He's not inside of turret range, so they get another kill. This third turret is going to fall. The choke point is out. T-Tigers eats a one-shot, but again, not going to be enough to find that kill, and he's just going to grab this treant and heal himself right back on up.
Yeah, and that's, this team really knows how to abuse their level spikes, their level advantage, and that's something we constantly see out of T-Tigers, is he just really knows when to be aggressive, when to back off. He's had a few close calls, but with Max Green able to heal him up at dangerously low levels, they've seen very good success so far out of this team.
Yeah, 3 offensive items for D'Enzio at 12.5 minutes. T-Tigers has Aftershock and Broken Myth, and a bit of defense being built up. I mean, Zio, he's at 4 completed Tier 3 items right now. Absolutely incredible, the lead that Immortals have picked up for themselves. They're going to be finding Izzy here. No slow coming out from Max Green, so he doesn't commit to the second attack. Just kind of poking and harassing. That's all. He's just being a little bit of a nuisance. Not really a threat right now. But Immortals looking for an opportunity, perhaps D'Enzio maybe trying to bait the opponents into making a mistake with the charm at the entrance to their base. I mean, we're sitting at 13.5 minutes. Could we be seeing them wait for the Kraken? Or, never mind, they're actually going to be finding themselves a fight, jumping right in onto Izzy, but not quite enough. That's going to be, again, a nice disengage. Thanks to Batiste, but they're looking to jump back in. The sentry is down. Now they have found themselves the damage on Izzy. Big silence comes out, though. Does not get blocked, and that is going to be a kill going the way of Fable GG. Can Zio turn this back around? Izzy is so low, but so is Max Green. Instead, this will be Immortals retreating away from Fable. Something that may be a bit of a surprise, but now Zio, they try and turn around. They wait for their nice spot. Zio's going to get stunned up by the Ordained. Looking for this Kestrel. Kestrel's got a lot of damage to those Glimmer shots. And the bad mojo's coming through as well. Fable on the verge of being able to find this team fight. Immortals feeling very confident. Maybe D'Enzio going to look for another super aggressive play. He's going to go right on into the Kestrel. Maybe a mistake. A fearsome shade fears him up, but he gets the kill anyway. And now they've bought enough time for T-Tigers to come back in with full health. Denomine, this is unbelievable play from Immortals. Just the confidence that they are able to play with even when low on health.
Yeah, and it was looking really good for the side of Fable there. They had a really good engage where they were able to get a chain stun down. We saw T-Tigers jump in really heavily trying to find the kill on Adrian, which Catherine was able to get a stun down. There was an Ordained drop. The Kestrel got an active camo stun down. It was looking really good, but then a little bit of overstaying and just really well-positioned play from the side of Immortals was really able to punish the fact that Fable did way overstay, way overchase that fight. They really just needed to clean out some wave, try to get a turret down, do anything but chase this Lyra, because Lyra offers so much sustain for this Vox with the Poison Shiv that there's just not a whole lot you can do. And actually a War Treads completed out of D'Enzio here, really wanting to capitalize on their ability to engage.
They're actually going to poke the Kraken just to start that up, maybe try and pull and force Fable into a fight. Max Green is on the front lines. T-Tigers is just working on this Kraken a bit still. Fable is right there. That's going to be Zen Master Blue getting the buff up from his perk, but the big silence from D'Enzio is going to engage. Huge fearsome shade to try and dissuade this fight. T-Tigers gets dropped low, but he's going to come right back into this. They find one kill. Zen Master Blue is going to fall as well, and so is Izzy. That is an ace for Immortals. They use the Lyra portal, and T-Tigers gets rooted by the treant that his teammate had started up on the other side.
He gets portals into the root, and then by the time the root is over, the cooldown on the Arcane Passage is done, and he gets teleported back again. But does find the kill on the Crystal Sentry there. I believe that is the last one, and this is going to be a Kraken going over to the side of Immortals, and very likely going to be the end of the game as long as they play their push right. We've seen a lot of teams sometimes get a little too ahead of themselves, a little too over aggressive with that Kraken. The enemy are able to back off and heal up at their base right there, so you really have to be careful with how hard you commit.
Infusion's going to be coming out, topping themselves up as they unleash the Kraken, and Immortals will be looking to finish off this first game of the best of 3 against Fable GG. They're going to be just moving in. They have minions there. They're waiting for either someone from Fable to step too far forward or for the Kraken to get into the base, whichever one happens first. There's going to be Ordained. It goes down onto Max Green again, though. I don't agree with using this Ordained onto the Lyra. I feel like you need to save that for a priority target. They're just going to be healing themselves up from this poke, but now D'Enzio, he's going to get stunned up. Does block the Merciless Pursuit. That's a nice job there, but now can they find the opportunity? They're just going right in onto these turrets. Max Green is very low, but again, it's a Lyra. He doesn't really care. The rest of the team is just focusing on these objectives with the Kraken. Fable should be able to find 1 or 2 kills, but I just don't know if it'll be enough. Fearsome Shade only hits T-Tigers. D'Enzio is just chasing them down as well while Kraken works on the Crystal. They take out T-Tigers, but D'Enzio in a 1v3 down here underneath the Crystal turret is going to be finding 1 kill, finds a 2nd kill, and they take down the Crystal turret before he can look for a 3rd. Max Green portals himself on to the Sanctuary just for extra style points, but Immortals 21-5 in 18 minutes. There was a couple of mistakes throughout the mid to late game, like 1 or 2 questionable decisions from Immortals, but for the most part, they were in complete control, never really gave Fable a chance in this game.
Yeah, a couple overstays that may have cost them a little bit, but fortunately, able to play through really well the rest of the game. You know, we see D'Enzio on his comfort, T-Tigers on his comfort, Max Green on one of his comforts. We've seen him play a lot of Fortress in the past, but we've definitely seen him play a lot of Lyra as well. So I think you got to be really cautious on what heroes you give over to this team. I think obviously there's not much you can do with that first pick Vox. Either you leave Grumpjaw on the table or you leave Baron on the table to get that Vox away. You know, maybe put Zio on a little bit of a discomfort, but what are you really opening up for T-Tigers then? So definitely a team to watch, but you cannot let them both have their comfort picks or the day is just not going to go good for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we saw it and called it as soon as the draft played out, everybody. I mean, that was, it did appear to be fairly one-sided to some extent, so, it was actually a fairly long game, and there were moments where Fable really played well and tried to get some damage. They were just so far behind that when they did find a fight and they started taking edge, they just weren't able to do enough damage to get like another kill, right? That they were chasing. They were literally moments where maybe just 10 more damage or 20 more damage would have been enough to get them an extra kill and maybe turn the game around. They just got too far behind too soon.
Yeah, definitely got too far behind. We see D'Enzio at the end of the game, 200 CS in 18 minutes to 122 on the side of Adrian. So we actually seen a 4th Tier 3 completed out of D'Enzio. Granted, one of them was a defensive item, before we even saw a 2nd item built out of Adrian. So huge advantage on gold in the early game there, really allowed them to snowball. Again, being on their comfort picks was huge. Max Green did a really good job blocking a lot of those one-shot, one-kills, a lot of the Ordains, a lot of the bad mojos, glimmer shots. Really just did a fantastic job preventing the damage from finding T-Tigers or D'Enzio.
No, absolutely. So if you're in Fable's shoes, you go into this next draft, you played the draft pretty well. You definitely did the more conservative approach. You pulled out maybe 1 or 2 picks. I mean, the Catherine pick was a nice pick, but it just seemed like maybe there was a focus issue as far as going after the support instead of the carry. So what do you do this time? Is it really just rewrite the draft, or do you this time really focus on taking, now that you're on A side even, taking T-Tigers off his comfort pick?
I don't. It is T-Tigers on his comfort Koshka. We know he's aggressive. We know he enjoys getting this Koshka because of how aggressive it allows him to be. I really liked the Baptiste, though. So to me, the Baptiste shuts down Koshka pretty well in the early game if you are able to limit her movement. And again, we just saw Max Green several times drawing out that Ordained, which allowed Koshka to jump in and be aggressive with no restrictions, no reflex block, no problem. So
yeah, there's definitely
sure
some
you're
issues.
Targeting.
Definitely some issues with like how the Ordained was used was a little bit rough. We are ready to get into the draft though, so let's get right in, guys. As game number 2 is underway, Fable on A side, and the Grumpjaw band, not surprisingly, comes out first.
Not at all surprising, and there's probably going to be a Baron to follow suit. I just think they're too strong of heroes right now to really give over. Even, there may be a little bit of a skill difference here between these matchups. Baron is definitely a hero that if the matchup is close, you can pick that hero, and it'll definitely give you an edge.
Yeah, it'll be exciting next week when Grace is enabled to see how the bans are going to shake up. Because I don't feel like teams are going to want to let Grace go through the bans either. So one of these three has to be let through the ban phase, and so that's going to be really fun. But here comes Fortress Koshka. If you thought Immortals were aggressive in game number 1, this is going to take things to a whole nother level.
And again, we talked about that Fortress being one of Max Green's comforts because of how aggressive they like to be. And there it is. And we see this Koshka pick up. This does give the side of Fable an opportunity to maybe retry that Baptiste. I really like Baptiste into the Koshka. You just have to make sure you use the Ordained in the early game correctly. And then Ozo Arden comes out. Now, this combination can function really well in the mid game because of Arden's ability to keep Ozo super tanky as he uses his acro bounce, as he engages really heavily. But a Saw comes out of Dienzio. This is going to be a really interesting matchup. So Ozo and Arden both really good at getting to Saw. Saw is incredibly slow, able to get some Atlas Pauldrons down. But if you block those Atlas Pauldrons, and we've seen Max Green in the past actually burn that Crucible for Dienzio when Atlas is the most important thing to block. So I very likely think that we're going to see a couple blocks come out here. If they can block the Atlas Pauldrons, Dienzio is just going to spiral out of control on this Saw, because Ozo, once you are done with your acro bounce, that is all your upfront damage is right there in that ability. So getting that Atlas Pauldron down is important, because that's going to be the only way that you're going to survive after you commit that heavily to a fight.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it plays out. I mean, I'm also not too crazy about the Ozo pickup because Fortress can do really well into an Ozo as well. Able to, if you can just get those mortal wounds onto Ozo, that really diminishes a lot of what he's going to be trying to do, because he does so well with healing. But have to keep our eyes on this early game aggression. Once again, they're going to be having T-Tigers solo out all the back of this jungle while Max Green tries to just run interference, tries to be a nuisance towards the side of Fable, but this time not going to have the same level of luck with Zenmaster Blue. Zenmaster Blue goes down to the Treant. N.A. Treant making a comeback as they find the first kill of this game.
Definitely a risky call out of Zenmaster Blue there. I think one of his issues is we see this Boots was picked up, which cost him a little bit of clear speed, and he definitely over-aggroed those minions, hoping that the acro bounce would be enough to clear. And that's going to be T-Tigers and Max Green going in, finding a first blood, actually getting the health treant too. So one key thing on Ozo is you have to start with your 3-ring circus if you want to be able to clear your jungle. It provides you healing, it provides you AoE damage, it is up much more frequently. You get 3 actual procs out of it. So definitely the way you have to start on Ozo.
Yeah, well, Zenmaster Blue definitely going to be feeling the pain off of this one as he gives up first blood, loses out on his jungle. Dienzio going to take a little bit of damage, but just uses that roadie run to reposition. And now the rest of the team is coming up from the jungle, jumping onto Izzy. It's actually just T-Tigers, because Max Green says, hey, this jungle's back up. We can go completely shut down this Ozo even harder. That's exactly what they're looking to do.
And early boots proc out of Zenmaster Blue there. That is now on a very long cooldown. And again, he just doesn't have the means to secure any of his jungle without that 3-ring circus. 1 CS for Ozo here. T-Tigers cleaning up another kill. That's going to open the rest of this Ozo's jungle to T-Tigers. T-Tigers getting incredibly ahead. 18-1 farm in the jungle. This is going to be an incredibly hard game to come back from Fable being this far behind on Ozo.
Oh, absolutely. Ozo is one of those heroes that needs to have a strong early game in order to succeed. And he is having the exact opposite. He's forced to just stand around and wait for his jungle to respawn because Immortals have taken it so regularly. And looks like they're going to be making another move in. T-Tigers is on his own this time, but Still going to be trying to steal this camp away. Zen Master Blue doesn't get the Treant, and he's going to fall again. This is going just once more open the door for Immortals to steal this jungle away entirely. They find another kill as well by chasing down Izzy. And this is getting hard to watch, really. In the first 3.5 minutes, Ozo still sitting on just a single CS to his name.
T-Tiger's approaching level 5. Already 4 minutes into this game, T-Tiger's approaching level 5. Zen Master Blue only at level 2. Adrian drops to T-Tigers on this box, and I think this is just going to be T-Tigers running away with the rest of this game. He's so far ahead. I mean, this is further ahead than you want to be on Akashka. Like, when you start a game and you know where you want to be on Akashka, T-Tigers is playing out of his mind right now.
And he's going to actually forego the aftershock. Or no, it looks like he is going to still go for the aftershock. I thought maybe he was going to forego it because he had such a large lead. Is Ozo going to be able to finally get another camp here? T-Tigers and Max Green are fighting over it, but it is going to go to Zen Master. He finally takes one. They take down Max Green. They're going to try and chase down T-Tigers, but he's got too much movement speed for now. Can they actually end up chasing him? No, they can't get there. So finally, something goes the way of Fable, but now Dienzio, he is in a world of trouble. They're not going to collapse onto him, though. They were more focused on just clearing out those minions. And this kill does go to Zen Master, though. They keep chasing underneath the turret, and Zen Master absolutely needed to get those kills and will finally be able to get a little bit of farm. Maybe not, because T-Tigers is right back on him and looking for a kill again. T-Tigers is absolutely ruthless. The Crystal Sentry is going to be on him, and so is the rest of Fable, but will he be able to get out of here? It's going to be very, very difficult because Adrian and Izzy have just found him. Jumps onto the sentry just to get the extra movement speed and gets out without giving up his life. Steals away another Treant because of course he does. I mean, this is just absolutely insane, the level of denial onto this Ozo. Not sure if we lost the nominee there, but either way, there's another kill. You're just, I mean, you blink and you miss a kill at this point. An ace coming through for Immortals. They're going to take this first turret. T-Tigers is going to go looking for more jungle camps. And, I mean, we're 6 minutes into this game. Ozo has 5 CS.
5 CS. A 4-level deficit on this Ozo. Another silver lining found, though. They do secure a kill onto Max Green. It does go over to Adrian, who has done a good job a couple times rotating down, forcing T-Tigers out.
Lining, though, they just lost out 2 turrets off of this as well. They're going to maybe get T-Tigers as they jump onto them, all 3 collapsing. T-Tigers leaps out of the way and gets himself to safety. It is unbelievable the situations T-Tigers is able to escape from. Will be finally some more CS going the way of Zen Master Blue, but I mean, this has got to just be so frustrating for Fable.
Dienzio being a little bit of a troll there, tried to use the roadie run to steal the health camp from T-Tigers, but T-Tigers does get it. He's going to clean up his backs. We have a 5,000 gold lead for the side of Immortals. T-Tigers getting healthier and healthier as that Treant health ticks away. 2 turrets down. Huge positional advantage out of Immortals here.
Absolutely massive. I mean, it doesn't get much larger of a lead than this. 7 minutes in, 5,000 gold. Again, the experience advantage in the jungle, the gold advantage, the CS leads, everything is coming up Immortals. They're going to find some more damage onto Izzy. But Yummy Cat in Frenzy stuns him up. They find the kill. T-Tigers goes low but gets the fountain to stay alive. And now they're going to look to start putting damage onto this tier 3 turret after they go diving deep underneath it to find a kill. Zen Master Blue, the only member left alive, he's going to go 1v1 with Zio, but it's not going to work out for him. That is another ace for Immortals. 8 minutes in, not even 8 minutes in, and they're going to take down the choke point turret. Again, this is just really, really lopsided affairs here. This Ozo pick absolutely not working out.
If we can get 2 Atlas Pauldrons, 1 out of Ozo and 1 out of Arden, I do see a world where Fable, if they find the right fight, get the Atlas down, may be able to clean up and maybe potentially could still have a comeback. This is a strong team composition they have. If they can just clean up the fights a little bit, get a little more coordinated together, this gold deficit is not as huge as it could be despite what we've seen. 8 minutes in, we are 8,000 gold down, but there's a lot of room to come up, and T-Tigers, very, very aggressive, finds another kill onto Vox.
Very likely going to find one onto Izzy as well. Double kill.
Izzy, indeed. You got to be really careful farming that far up when you don't have these turrets to come back to, and that's a mistake that we've seen out of the Vox there. Just too far up, made himself way too vulnerable.
Well, I mean, at this stage of the game, Denone, I don't really even know if there is a whole lot to be found for Fable. I mean, it's certainly a possibility that you can come back from a deficit this large, but it usually requires your opponents to make some massive, massive mistakes. Mistakes that players that Immortals have are not very likely to be making unless they get extremely overconfident. We've already seen a little bit of overconfidence from them that has led to some mistakes, but it would take something truly special for Immortals to not be able to close this game out. And they're going to be just looking to continue keeping this pressure up. All three members moving in aggressively. They're going to steal away just more of this jungle. I mean, Ozo has not been able to get off the ground. He has a single tier 3 item completed, and that's it. There's really not much else to be had there from this pick. And Immortals are looking to push into the base. This is where it can get a little bit dicey because, as you mentioned, they do have the Fountain and the Sanctuary to work on healing them back up.
We do have all of our ults up on the side of Immortals, though, which is huge. So we don't have an Atlas Pauldron. Dienzio doesn't have to worry about blocking that. The only thing he has to worry about is blocking the Bangarang. He does not want to get launched underneath these turrets.
Adrian's going to try and come out, get some mortal wound onto Dienzio. Dienzio taking a lot of damage here as he tries to stutter step forward with this saw pickup. They're just going to be looking for some damage. There's going to be a nice Bangarang, but it gets blocked, like you said, and the Gauntlet is going to keep Immortals at bay temporarily. T-Tigers jumping on in. They can't really find enough damage to secure a kill within the time frame that it would take Fable to get onto their healing platform, their Sanctuary. So they're just going to be backing themselves off and forcing Fable to try and come to them.
Yeah, and good block value out of that reflex box to Dienzio. He was actually able to block both the Bangarang and the Gauntlet wall with the one reflex block. So really, really well timed out of him there. We see these fights are obviously pretty heavily on the side of Immortals with the lead that they have, but they really have to be careful about how far forward they're pushing still this early in the game. There is time where if they give up kills, that can be a swing of gold back to the side of Fable, and you don't want to lose the advantage you have as Akashka by just playing too aggressive.
Well, right now, they're going to be just taking out this gold miner. We've still got over 3 minutes until the Kraken is available, and Immortals are still just kind of knocking at the doorstep of Fable. Fable's done a good job of not allowing them onto those crystal turrets, but how long are they going to be able to hold out here? As Immortals going to be looking to make a move. Perhaps T-Tigers jumps on in. He's going to get collapsed upon very quickly, takes a lot of damage. Bangarang knocks him back in, but he's not going to be going down because the Fountain is too strong. Dienzio, with the damage, takes out one, takes out two. Will not get the third because that's going to go over to T-Tigers. But that is an ace for Immortals, and with the minions already pushed up pretty far, they are very likely going to look to end the game off of this.
Yeah, way too over-aggressive there out of Fable. The Ozo chased so heavily onto T-Tigers because he was low that he didn't even bother to use his Atlas on Dienzio, and Dienzio just sat there and killed him. The Atlas was used a little too early there, allowing Dienzio to just build up too much, and Max Green getting dangerously low here. T-Tigers getting very low, but with this spun-up saw, I don't see it being a problem to clean up the fight. That is going to be T-Tigers actually dropping. But
Okay.
but I mean, it's a spun up saw, and there's no
Look at
turrets
the amount
left.
of gold Izzy got just from getting the shutdown on the T-Tigers. He's gonna get 2,000 gold now as a result of that, but the crystal is going to fall. Dienzio being a little bit of a troll there, letting the Max Green finish it off. But Immortals, incredibly dominant in this matchup, take the series 2-0 and will remain in the winner's bracket, whereas Fable GG will have to try their luck in the elimination bracket.
And that is true. They do have the elimination bracket to lie on because they won their first game. So we could see them later on in the tournament. We have a couple times seen teams drop down into that losers bracket and still make it all the way through to the end and have a potential shot at being in the challenger battles. So we could see more of this team. Obviously, we've discussed how hyped up this Immortals roster is. This was not an easy matchup for any team in the Challenger Series, so definitely can't let it affect your morale too much. Yes, you lost, but if there's a team you want to lose to, it's this one.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a team that you expect to at least have a hard time with,
expect to lose.
I don't think Fable
don't want to lose.
Yeah, I don't think Fable, wanted to lose either, but I think that they probably went in here with realistic expectations and met those expectations. And if anything, that's their learning experience. It could actually make them stronger, make them better. The loser bracket, if we go look at it in a little bit, is really filled with a lot of teams that I feel like Fable GG, based on how well they played, they had a little bit of a tough start, but, they were trying to put up a fight in multiple occasions. I feel like they could go farther in the loser bracket. We'll just have to wait and see who ultimately ends up there, because only 2 teams per group from the elimination bracket actually can make it out of there, and we're going to see a lot of really strong teams drop in there before this split is over. So making through there is always a challenge, and it really reduces your odds if you make it in there before the playoffs start to have to work your way out of that. We are about ready to start our final and third series of the night. We're going to take a quick break though. But when we come back, we'll be bringing you guys, I believe it's Misfits versus Intensity. As I take a quick snapshot look, it is Infinity Rebirth. I apologize. Misfits versus Infinity Rebirth will be our third and final stream matchup, and then of course we'll have a quick post-stream rundown of all the matches that took place and what we kind of feel about them before we conclude the night. So guys, make sure you stay tuned in. We'll be right back after this break, and this will be a much shorter break since all of the teams are ready to go at this very moment. So we'll see you guys in a few minutes.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. We are live and here ready for our final and third matchup of the night. It is going to be Misfits versus Infinity Rebirth. And guys, let's talk a little bit about this. We're actually ready for the draft, so we don't have much time as we're going to be getting into it in just a few seconds. But Infinity Rebirth has been a team that we've seen make their way through the Challenger Series quite a bit. They've definitely had some pretty strong rosters throughout the few seasons that they've been competing. They've kind of gone through a few of them. Here's their current one. They're C12 going up against Misfits. Misfits, on the other hand, they've been a team that have made it to the playoffs, I believe, every single Challengers they've been in Challengers, but they've struggled to punch their ticket to Challenge battles since being knocked out. Is this the season Misfits is finally going to find it, or is the barrier to get back into this is so great as we get into the draft?
Well, I'm really hoping that they've found whatever it is that they've been missing. I'm not sure if it was synergy really or hero pool. Both of those seem to be a little restricted. I'm actually surprised that the Grumpjaw made it through the ban here. We do typically see this lineup be very aggressive, so giving that Grumpjaw over is huge for Illust, who is now Zax. So just for the older school people here that may not have followed the name change from last season, that is Illust. And Demon is Exhale. So, okay. So here's the smarter draft. We see the Catherine, and it looks like we're seeing a Glaive come out. So yes, they gave over the Grumpjaw, but they at least brought some stuns to the table to try to help prevent the Grumpjaw from really getting too out of hand, as well as picking up the Glaive, which can be a flex in either the lane or the jungle. And he offers a little bit of a tankier frontline hero. We know Grumpjaw is very good at diving the backline and taking squishier heroes out. So I like the stun from Catherine Glaive, and the tankiness of Glaive really will help him deal with that. And it's going to be a roam Grumpjaw with a very likely going to be a Kestrel in the lane and a Baptiste in the jungle. And this is a very scary lineup on 2.6 that the side of Misfits has put together here. You know, we discussed the Kestrel buffs. We've seen Baptiste be a huge nuisance to teams. And then Grumpjaw flexing into the support position obviously offers that ultimate to take somebody out of the fight. Huge potential here out of the sides of Misfits, but I do also like the composition that Infinity Reborn has put together towards this Grumpjaw-Baptiste combo.
Yeah, they do have a few stuns there. Baptiste should be pretty strong against each of those three individually, but when you have them all at the same time, he can only use that Ordained onto one target. And that leaves the other two open to get diving onto the backlines, try and get onto that Kestrel. So this should be an interesting one. And like Denominator, you were saying, in the couple of renames on Misfits, surprise, surprise, Demon, I think, is on his sixth or seventh different name, and probably his 10th in total name change overall. But it is the same roster. The actual players themselves are the same, even though their names are different from what we've seen on Misfits for the past season or so.
Yeah, and I personally really don't want to call it based on the draft here, because yes, you can argue Baptiste is good into the Sky because he limits her movement, but if you're playing Sky a little bit on the back foot where you're playing away from the fight, your forward barrage does outrange the Ordain. And if you're sitting there trying to chase and get that Ordain down, taking a face full of forward barrage on this Baptiste, you have no movement abilities to get you out of it. So it can be really dangerous if you're playing too aggressive.
Well, like I said, against each of these heroes individually, Baptiste is very good. But as a whole, he can't control all three of them. He can only try and control one of them. Right now, they're going to be jumping in onto this Glaive. Glaive's just going to afterburn defensively and try and get some damage onto Valmanway, but again, gonna just get damage down, not enough for a kill, but perhaps enough for them to stick around. Pressure, Valmanway sticks around, actually doesn't get hit by that Hangry. That's gonna be too good, but they Ordained. There's the power of it. Forces the Catherine to make a decision, and really neither of those decisions was gonna be allowing her to stay alive.
Yeah, especially being that low, and I think on the engage on the Glaive, we may want to hold on to that Ordain a little bit longer, try to get some damage down and really force him to hit that Ordain. Glaive was just too healthy. He was able to just kite it out, took a little bit of damage, but he didn't have to sacrifice his body up to the stun, which really allowed him to get out safely. And a good engage coming up from somebody here, getting a little bit of poke damage down. Not anybody dangerous low, but it's a little bit of pressure here in the early game. Big steal coming out there out of the sky, and it does look like he's going to be able to get away. However, he is very low. Sky did not get it. It's a potion proc. Okay, it's a potion proc I'm seeing underneath Sky. Good catch there, Tasty. Good catch.
I mean, the animations are very similar, but it was just different enough that. But right now,
the green ring.
I guess Sky's wishing they had that Treant, because that is going to be another kill going the way of Misfits, and Demon steals away the back Treant. Eco going toe-to-toe with Valmanway is going to be getting the Catherine pretty low, while Demon just steals away this jungle. And this is what we've been seeing from these higher-seeded teams. They are just trying to make an absolute living in the opponent's jungle. Valmanway is going to try and rotate around while somebody comes back from the base, but I just don't think they're going to have enough. The Ancient Treant is going to go the way of Misfits as well. That will give Zax a little bit of extra energy as they are starting to find themselves advantages just in farm alone, and it's built them up about 1,000 gold lead.
About 1,000 gold lead and 2 kills sitting in the hands of Misfits here, so looking really good for them. Still, just the early part of one game not convincing me yet. A huge dive there out of Sniper, finding the kill onto both the Grumpjaw and the Kestrel, answering back to the 2 kills with a 2 of their own. And that's going to cause Zax to lose out on a bit of this farm. This is a big wave that Demon is going to have to come up here and clear to really prevent it losing from the turret.
Yeah, at least the farm does go to someone, but definitely, like you said, going to be forcing Zax to miss out on a lot of it. Demon's going to rotate just back down into the jungle, so a good answer there from the side of Infinity. Infinity Rebirth, as they're able to even up the kills and almost even up the gold as well, as a result of that aggressive dive under the turret. Now Demon and somebody in a 1v1, somebody has to wait for that Ordained, and that's going to force him to be in a very bad situation. And Forward Barrage will keep them at bay a bit, and maybe somebody will be able to get out of here. Meanwhile, Snipers and Valmanway up in the lane going to be distracting the rest of the team. So nice job there with the movement and positioning of Infinity Rebirth to ensure that they didn't lose out on another kill.
Yeah, and one nice thing about this Catherine is Catherine moving into the mid and late game gets very, very tanky as she builds up those stacks of her heroic perk. And the shield also is going to allow her to negate a lot of damage coming out of Zax. If you can eat those glimmer shots and eat that bad mojo for your team, and then Glaive and Sky are very heavily able to engage to follow suit, that's really going to bring down the damage that the side of Misfits is able to put out. So this Catherine is going to be the huge player to watch on the side of Infinity Rebirth. If we can bait out the damage, then they have a lot of engage potential with how strong Weapon Glaive can be.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, keep an eye on those stacks. 15 stacks at 5.5 minutes is a really good number to be at. You generally, at a baseline, you want to try and be at 2 stacks per minute on Catherine, and Valmanway is exceeding that currently. And like you said, those stacks so important. A couple of updates ago, Catherine was changed that each stack of her perk gives 2 stacks of armor and shield as opposed to 1. So that's 30 extra armor and 30 extra shielding that she's currently sitting on. That is almost a light armor worth of armor and shield that she's got just from that heroic perk, and that's only going to increase.
Yeah, for free in 6 minutes. That's the other thing, is it takes no gold out of Catherine's pocket to get tanky. So as she does get the items, she's going to get tankier and tankier. A wasted Fearsome Shade coming out of Demon there, but they do find the kill onto both Glaive and Catherine. Somebody is rotating up, but he's in a very dangerous spot. Very, very good timing there, catching out the Kestrels just out of the corner of his eye, catching that vision. And now this is going to be Demon aggressing very heavily, getting some damage down. They don't put any aggression down on the turret, though, and that's kind of surprising to me.
Yeah, that's very surprising. Somebody's going to get caught in this Ordained. Does jump out right as it ends, but it doesn't matter. The bad mojo comes through and finds the kill. And so Misfits going up on the kills once again, gaining a small gold lead. But like I said, very surprising that they got the kills, sure, but they didn't make anything happen off of getting those kills. They could have put some pressure on this turret, get the turret low, or do something with those kills. Instead, they just sort of delayed a little bit and found an extra kill, which is nice, but the objectives are what you really need to be looking to pick up.
The objectives are what you need to pick up, and I'm actually surprised when we do see this Baptiste pick up. I'm surprised we don't see more teams focus shield in the early game. Baptiste scales really heavily with Crystal Power because his Re-Heroic perk, once you capitalize on those 4 soul fragments captured, it increases your crystal damage done by your abilities by 100%. So with 1 Shatterglass, we're able to see 500 damage come out of this Baptiste, and there's no shield built on the side of Infinity Rebirth, and that's going to be Catherine swallowed up there by Eco.
And Demon is going to be turning his attention onto that Catherine. She will fall. Sniper's going to try and get away. The forward barrage is going to keep Misfits at bay for now. The fountain was used, so maybe going to be a little bit hesitant to try and go in onto the sky. But now Eco steps forward, doesn't have really the tools to try and shut it down. Somebody going to ordained, and that's going to be the kill onto somebody. Now Sniper steps forward a little bit too far. Perhaps, yep, Demon will throw that last bad mojo for the kill. Now Valmanway is going to be getting back here in time to prevent the damage from going onto the turret other than what the minions will provide. So once again, great job getting the kills by Misfits, but not being in a position to capitalize on them other than being able to steal away a little bit of the jungle.
And the jungle they will steal. Unfortunately, a couple minions do get taken down by the turret, but Valmanway does pick up a couple of his own, so you don't really want to see the CS go on to Catherine, but in the scenario they're in, it's nice that Catherine was able to get the gold. It's going to help her complete that contraption. She's going to be able to get a little bit more vision down. Throws out a flare there to check and see if there's any vision on her side, so smart usage of it there, knowing that, she's saving that 1 in the pocket. When these fights are really going to start to change is if the Sky is able to complete this the Broken Myth in a timely manner here. Grumpjaw and Baptiste really offer a lot of potential for Sky to build up stacks, and that is going to be a stun out of the stuffed ult, so that's why I'm glad we took the double stun here, because it's worked out really well for them so far. When Eco does get the ultimate down, he's been stunned out of it almost every time. So.
All right. Well, right now 8-4. We got another fight happening. Valmanway is going to get dropped low, but so is Eco. Again, this forward barrage from Sky is starting to really do some heavy damage, but it's just not quite enough to get a kill going either way. Demon is very healthy and again has a lot of damage. Already 2 stacks, make that full, and now the damage will come out. Gets after under the turret. This could be a turnaround for Snipers. Does get the kill and the shutdown onto Demon. That will be big. That was a 5-kill shutdown that Snipers just picked up. Now has 1,600 gold to go and spend.
1,600 gold indeed, and I hope we commit some of it to shield, because if you allow Demon on this Baptiste to continue to AoE splash your team for 500, 600 damage, there's not a whole lot you can do. It's going to cause your team to burn out the fountain early, and then you're going to have to back off the fight because the side of Misfits isn't going to have to use theirs because there's not as much AoE potential.
Not as much AoE potential, and not as much, well, really just overall damage potential either, regardless of AoE or single target. And now Eco's going to try and dissuade them from going for this turret, but again, the forward barrage from somebody does a lot of damage, and well, they're going to back off because the rest of Misfits was rotating up. I think this game is starting to turn a lot closer than perhaps Misfits were expecting at the start of it. And there's going to be the tension bow picked up from Snipers. Interesting to see the Glaive go for the tension bow this far in.
Yeah, this is a really late tension bow. I really would have liked to see him build into that breaking point. The tankiness of Glaive moving in later into this game with Catherine being able to block out a lot of the damage coming from the side of Misfits. Had big engage out of Eco there, but he is going to be able to afterburn out. So this Glaive is really able to scale up damage pretty heavily against Baptiste because he has no way to get out of a fight. We're not going to have that scaling damage that Glaive needs. We're relying really heavily on somebody in this Broken Myth on Sky to do all of the damage for their team.
A lot of vision being put down as well, but right now Eco, the forward barrage in the wrong direction. That could be devastating. It is going to be Sky going down. They do answer with one though, and Snipers is making the plays happen. Zach's going to get dropped low, trying to survive, but will get stunned up again. And just like this, Infinity Rebirth able to find a couple of kills for themselves. Maybe perhaps looking to start turning this game right back around, as they're going to try and get some damage onto this turret. They're going to aggro the turret, unfortunately, because of the AoE damage from Snipers. He's going to have to get out of there, so the turret will not fall, but we're 12 and a half minutes in, and neither team has taken down this tier 1 turret just yet.
No tier 1 turrets, and also very minimal defense on both sides, with the exception of the Glaive just went back and bought this Aegis. Zach's dropping incredibly quick in that fight, only has that tier 1 armor. Glaive was able to delete him regardless of his ability to move around the fight. You know, this weapon, Kestrel, yes, you can go invisible in the fight, but you cannot stay invisible.
It's that invisibility. Oh, nice silence from the Catherine. Will hit all 3. Not really much capitalized on off of it, but still 3 stacks of the perk is 3 stacks of the perk. And so Velman Wei, again, so much vision here in order to spot out this Kestrel. Even though it's a weapon Kestrel and she doesn't have long invisibility, they don't want her to be invisible. That's going to be Yoko, or somebody getting the kill onto the Grumpjaw. Snipers does get out alive. Velman Wei is going to be going down very low. Somebody's trying to 1v1 Demon off on the side, but Zax is going to get involved. He runs out of energy without finding the kill, and I mean, Infinity Rebirth, they're doing a great job of being able to defend against Misfits. Oh, I think that looked like maybe a connection issue there for Velman Wei, but Zach's taking advantage of it. He's going to pay for it, though, as that is going to be Snipers able to find another kill.
Another kill indeed found, and we're starting to see, you know, again, we talked about this Sky really good into the Grumpjaw, really good into the Baptiste, and Baptiste taking a lot of damage here at his backs. Is cleaning it up, though. He'll get this health treant. The Soul Reap shards should be able to help him heal up a little bit, too. Somebody, again, on this Sky is going to be the huge one to watch. We saw that last fight really start to swing their way. Glaive does find the turret underneath Demon and Eco, though.
And that's going to, I mean, no kills coming off of that one, but very, very close. As everyone's just going to be kind of recalling back, looking to reset a bit. 10-9 on the kills. I'm not sure too many people would have been expecting this game to be this close as we approach the 15-minute mark. I mean, the gold is just about even, only a couple hundred separating these two teams right now as Kraken is about to spawn.
Yeah, indeed. And Glaive does complete his tier 3 boots, opts to go for the Halcyon charges, maybe help him keep up energy. There were some changes to Glaive's afterburn in the past couple patches, one of them being more energy consumption, and then the most recent one being a little bit more cooldown. So having the cooldown and energy regeneration on these Halcyon chargers maybe helping him out a little bit here. 4 offensive items completed for Zax on this Kestrel, though.
This is going to be a lot of damage, but are they going to be able to keep him safe? That's the key. Nice block on the Blast Tremor, but look at the damage already coming out from somebody. It's going to be a nice fearsome shade. Will here up too, but the first kill of the fight goes the way of Infinity Rebirth and make that the second as well. Demon doing what he can, will take down one, but that's all he's going to get. A 1-for-3 ace for Infinity Rebirth, and they immediately go and start up the Kraken.
Yeah, and this Poison Shiv build on Glaive working out really well. Glaive gets inherent lifesteal out of his Bloodstone stacks, his ultimate stacks. So when paired up with that Poison Shiv, you have a lot of natural healing. And again, we don't have very much defense out of the side of Misfits. So when this Glaive does heavily commit, he's able to take Zax and Demon out of the fight very early, and somebody doing a great job poking out damage with this forward barrage, building up a lot of stacks onto Eco on the Scrumpjaw. And again, Demon, once that forward barrage is down on this Baptiste, you have no movement abilities, so that Frostburn really heavily locks you down and commits you into taking that damage.
Looks like we are going to get a pause here. Perhaps looks like maybe somebody not able to move around at the moment, but we'll see if this will get unpaused. I mean, Dragonborn has the controls over this. We are able to pause when we see something that really needs it. It is up to the players to secure their own internet connections, but while we do have the pause feature for the broadcasted games, we do like to use it when necessary in order to ensure as fair of a game as possible.
Yep, absolutely, guys. This is Dragonborn, and a quick pause. One of the players from Misfits had some issues, technical issues. We're going to get that sorted out real quick, and once it's resolved, we'll be able to get right back into this game. As looking pretty tough, man. Infinity Rebirth really doing a number right now on Misfits. As they got that Kraken Steel right there, right before the pause. So we'll give you guys a quick update if it extends any longer than a few more seconds. So just hang tight.
All right, thank you, Dragonborn, for the update. And so yeah, Denominate, I mean, this is Infinity Rebirth. They are on the verge of being able to push in and perhaps find this game. It's going to be a 2-on-3 because again, Sky is still down in the jungle and making her way back up as we get underway.
Sky has completed that Eve of Harvest, though. A little bit behind. They're still going to be able to make a strong fight here, though. Snipers does take a lot of damage, but...
Yeah, Snipers took a lot of damage, and they made a nice block, a nice Crucible on that Blast Tremor. And so because of how much damage the Kraken's already taken, they're just going to back off and not try and push this any further. Still able to get that choke point turret down is good news for the side of Infinity Rebirth, as now they have access to the opponent's base. More and more defense being built up here. I like seeing that the Snipers, after getting chunked out that last time, says, you know what, let's go ahead and finish off this metal jacket for ourselves and try and ensure that that doesn't happen again. But Infinity Rebirth, they are on the verge of taking game number 1. If they can just find another good fight, Forward Barrage will be onto this Kestrel. Kestrel's taking a lot of damage. Another great Crucible of the Blast Tremor, but that means the Afterburn connects onto Demon. Demon is going to go low, but so is Snipers. A nice Fearsome Shade will push them all back. Forward Barrage again onto the Grumpjaw. That getting stacked up on this Broken Myth, but Snipers is so low, he has to try and run. Eco's looking for that kill. Snipers just stops him in his tracks. And big glimmer shots coming through from Zax. Everyone is so low. Demon will actually fall, as well as Eco. Zax is on a sliver of health. And I don't know if Infinity Rebirth realized that or are going to be able to catch up to him, but Infinity Rebirth, they are still consistently winning these fights.
They are consistently winning these fights, and I think a lot of it is attributed on how tanky this Catherine and Glaive are. They're diving in really heavily, taking all of that frontline damage. You know, the Baptiste and the Kestrel both are very, very heavily targeted on their directional damage, and I think this is going to be Zax finding a kill here and ramping up very quickly. But
big silence onto Zax. That's going to end up being his death. So a 1-for-1, but that was a big kill to take down somebody, and it prevents the members of Infinity Rebirth from being able to try and push in any further. You gotta figure if they had just found that kill without losing anyone, then they would have just looked for at least one of those Vein Crystal turrets.
At least one, and you know, the Kraken's not up either, so they really can't do anything off the back of that.
Ooh.
Demon has finished in Aegis here, but still has no defense for this Glaive, who's really providing a lot of upfront damage on him. That last fight, it was very heavily somebody. He got a full forward barrage down. But in these close fights, this Glaive has that cleave potential out of just his heroic perks. So even if he's not necessarily on Demon, I see Zax and Demon grouping up quite a bit, and a lot of that splash damage is getting down on him.
Another item to keep your eyes on. Valmanway picked up. Big death from above is going to get a stun. They're going in hard onto Demon. Demon is going to fall before they can even react. And Infinity Rebirth looking for Zax now. Zax doing what he can. Eco is going to eat up Valmanway, and that's not going to dissuade them from trying to continue chasing. They get the kill onto Zax. Zax did get one. Eco gets over the wall. Sentry is doing what he can. Eco is just trying to lead them on a wild goose chase. Is going to be able to delay quite a bit. Will he be able to delay enough? All they need is to find this kill within the next 15 seconds, and an afterburn into the wall will help this. Snipers, does he have the damage? Eco is very, very tanky. He's just going to be trying to run, trying to survive, gets over the wall, but onto the scout trap, and that will get the ace. And now will Infinity Rebirth try for the Kraken? Demon is going to be respawning, and so he will have at least a chance to try and make a steal happen.
Yeah, and this is a huge opportunity. Demon is up, but again, we talked about needing that armor for when Glaive heavily engages on you. And that's where all the damage came from in that last fight. Glaive was able to take down Demon very quickly, burned out the Fountain, burned out the Crucible, both from Eco on this Grumpjaw. And then there was nothing left to save Zax in the next fight, or next part of the fight.
Yeah, so something I was trying to point out before that fight broke out, Val Manway had picked up an Echo. Did not actually use it in that last fight, didn't even, I think, use the Blast Tremor during that fight because the death from above was so good from somebody, able to get the double stun for them to engage on. But now we've been seeing these Crucibles blocking the Blast Tremors consistently, but you can't block two of them consecutively. As if Val Manway decides to go for Blast Tremor, Echo, Blast Tremor, it could be huge for the side of Infinity Rebirth. Kraken pushing in now. Just going to be trying to avoid giving free stacks over to Demon. Stun onto Eco. Here we go. They're going to drop the death from above. That's going to get blocked. Here comes perhaps a Blast Tremor. Not going to get used just yet. Eco actually gets the eat onto Val Manway. They find the first kill onto Snipers. They find the second kill. And now Zax and Eco are going to be able to chase down Val Manway. He was not able to get the silence off, even with the Echo there. And this will be the game continuing as Demon works on the Kraken. It will take down one of these turrets, but that is all that they will be able to get.
Yeah, Zax did complete his metal jacket there, which really helped him take a little bit of the damage from Glaive, which allowed them enough time to really sink that damage down, and Glaive dropped very, very quickly in that fight by engaging too heavily, maybe relying on the Kraken to soak a little bit of damage for him, distract the enemy team. Misfits answering back saying, no, we want you dead, and then we'll deal with the Kraken. They clean up a fight. They actually get a gold lead out of this now, which is huge for them. And a lot of the damage out of the side of Infinity Rebirth here we have to attribute to somebody. On the Sky, he's doing very, very well poking out damage with that forward barrage. The kills obviously going over to Sniper, who has a lot more bursty damage, is jumping in, getting those executes down. But somebody really, really playing the Sky really well into this Batiste.
All right, so 23 minutes in now. This game is starting to get to the point where it could go either way. There's a lot more work for Misfits to do as they do find a stun onto Zax. They're going to look to engage. Blast Tremor does get blocked, but the second one can't. There's that Echo in use. They now have Demon locked down a bit. The Fountain will come out to keep him alive. Can they find anything? Val Manway gets spit out on the opposite side of the fight where he wanted. They're going to get the stun on the Eco. They're just trying to chase this through. Eco is going to fall, and this is big. The Sentry is going to get involved, but don't know if it's going to be enough. Demon trying to find a kill, not going to be able to get it, and it's just Zax who will survive. Does recall to prevent the ace. The Sentry actually takes down somebody, but it is still a 2-for-1 in favor of Infinity Rebirth. Kraken has just respawned, and there is a long, long time on those death timers for Eco and Demon.
Long death timers indeed. However, I don't think Snipers and Val Manway have the damage unless if they find Zax to end the game or really take the Kraken. It'd be a huge risk.
I think they can take the Kraken. They've already taken the Kraken. It's just the two of them before. So it's actually not going to be too much of a risk for them to do it again, as long as they're just aware and they have a lot of vision down to spot Zax if he tries to make a play on this. Kraken's going to be over halfway captured. Here comes Zax, but he's going to again be spotted, and they're going to try and engage onto him. Afterburn will connect. So will the Merciless Pursuit, and Zax is dead. Not quite going to be an ace as Eco has respawned, but it will be the Kraken going the way of Infinity Rebirth once again. Their last two Krakens only got one turret, but that's all that they need now before they will have an exposed Vein Crystal, and it's 40 seconds until Zax will be alive.
40 seconds indeed, and I think, having seen how much vision they've really popped all game, you think Zax would have been a little more cautious about trying to engage that heavily there. Came in way too early. The Kraken was only at half health. He was dancing around a couple scout traps, And you really have to use your range to your advantage in that scenario. You don't have to come that far out to see the Kraken. He could have scouted out the damage, tried to get a secure. That was his only real benefit there is he was a danger to the enemy team. He could have stolen the Kraken.
All right, well, here we go. Kraken is getting in here. Zax is about to respawn. Somebody's just getting those those broken myth stacks built up. Nico's going to be taking a lot of damage. The turret is already down. Snipers is just going to be looking to try and end this game. They're going to find the kill onto somebody, but Snipers and Valmanway have too much damage alongside this Kraken, and it will be Infinity Rebirth taking game number 1 against Misfits, even with a Grumpjaw and a Batiste. Absolutely incredible play and incredible resilience from this team.
Yeah, very, very well played out of this team. And we discussed this at the beginning, this is going to be one of the bigger matchups that we have. This is the most closely matched teams that we've had so far as our stream games. And, Infinity Reborn just looking really, really strong this game.
Yeah, wow. I mean, that really a surprise. And I think one of the craziest parts of this is the fact that of how aggressive Valmanway went. I mean, he built up so many stacks, and he has an Aftershock and an Echo. This is a pretty unconventional build, but when you're that far ahead, or when you feel comfortable, when you feel like you've got enough defensive stacks, also the infusions give you some defensive items. Valmanway was really heavy support with just, that Metal Jacket and Fallon, and that was it. And you could see the amount of stuns and the just crowd control he did. We've talked about it, guys, that Grumpjaw, if you're going to pick him, you've got to be wary of the stuns. And maybe in single ban draft, it's a little bit risky because you can't ban away one of those heavy CC heroes like a Catherine or a Glaive. And you also had a Sky to boot, which, if you get trapped in that stun, that hurts as well. This very heavy crowd control composition from Infinity Rebirth really shut down that Grumpjaw's effectiveness.
Yeah, it really did. And again, that's one of the things, especially coming into this patch, Sky and Grumpjaw are going to be a really heavy matchup. If you do let the Grumpjaw go through, you have to make sure you counter it. And that's exactly what we see out of Infinity Rebirth here. We see 2 solid, reliable stuns. We see a lot of really directional poke-heavy damage, as well as having 2 people who are really able to dive, really able to block the skill shots from the side of Misfits here, and they played it so well. Yes, the early game fights didn't look that great, but that's because Misfits had a really early game composition. So really, really well played on the side of Infinity Rebirth. They baited out the Grumpjaw, picked up the Sky. Once they got that broken myth in, the fights really started to swing their way.
Yeah, absolutely. We are getting ready for game number 2 here, just a few moments as we look to get that underway. This is a tough one for Misfits to claw their way out of.
Yeah, it is. And again, these matchups are so close right now that, I can see this series going to a game 3.
We'll have to wait and see. We're going to check now. We are making sure everyone's got all of their internet connection issues resolved as before we get into this next matchup. We should be ready to get going here in just a few seconds. All right. And get into game number 2. This one could go the distance, as you were saying, Denominate, because, Misfits had a really rough game, but they definitely have the potential to play better than that game. And specifically, I think there were some issues with the draft. I think that Infinity Rebirth played it really, really well. We also did learn about there was a lot of lag with one of the players, and we didn't end up implementing a pause. But one of the things to keep in mind is that, it's very critical for these players to ensure they have proper internet connection. It's kind of tough sometimes, and unfortunately, that is on their onus to make sure that's the case. So there was some lag. We'll see if that was a difference maker as we get into game number 2.
I think we've seen a little bit of lag on both sides, so I'm not really sure how heavily we can lay it on that. Definitely seeing that Grump Jaw come off the table out of the side of Misfits here. In 2.6, I'm thinking that might be something you can let through as long as you are prepared to deal with it. So we've seen a huge performance out of Valmanway on this Catherine last game, and he's going for it again. I think he had 90 stacks at the end of last game.
It was really he didn't need a lot of defense.
Yeah, didn't need a lot of defense, built it anyway. And again, with the Baptiste and the Kestrel, all skill shot based damage, he did a great job frontlining for the team. And Snipers did a great job too, tanking up as quick as he could on Glaive, able to help kind of take some of that damage down, while Sky was able to just sit on the back line and build up Broken Myth stacks.
Absolutely. All right, guys. I'm going to kick it over to you, Tasty, to finish this up as we look to get into game number 2.
All right. So we got the Glaive Arden combination picked up for the side of Misfits, and Snipers follows up with a Vox and a Baptiste out of somebody here. So definitely could see some potential for a Sky here. But actually, Zax locks in the Celeste, which is going to be going over to Illust. Illust has had very, very good performances on Celeste in the past. So we'll have to see how it goes, and that's very likely going to be a lane Glaive with a jungle Celeste. I think jungle Celeste handles really well in the Baptiste throughout many parts of the game, just depending on how she's able to position herself. If you run into a bush and Baptiste is there waiting, it's probably not going to go your way. So you're going to have to use those Heliogenesis very, very cautiously, making sure you're using it for vision in bushes, because if Baptiste gets on you with that Ordained, he's probably going to kill you.
And so, I was really impressed with somebody's positioning on the Sky in last game. So if you can carry that over into this game on the Baptiste, this could be very, very scary for the members of Misfits, and they could be at risk of dropping down into the elimination bracket at the hands of Infinity Rebirth. We'll have to see if they can make it work. Sniper's going to be on this. Vox is another one, very drastically different hero to be playing from the lane Glaive that we saw in the previous game as well. So let's see how they can make this work, if they can make this work, and will we have another 2-0, or will Misfits force us into a game number 3?
Yep, and Misfits showing a little bit of respect there, throwing out those good luck, have fun pings at the beginning of the game. Awesome new addition. I do like this Celeste pick. However, I think I would have wanted to lean towards the Sky. We discussed last game how good Sky is in the Baptiste, just because he has no way to get out of your forward barrage, and he has to be at the front of a fight to do damage. He is technically ranged, I guess you could say. He has a longer melee range than any other hero, and his abilities are all range based, but he has to be in the front, and that's going to be Valmanway dropping very, very early. Unfortunately, the kill goes over to Eco on this Arden, which is not really where you want to see it. I would have liked to see the experience in gold go over to Demon on the Celeste, really kind of ramp up quicker. But when it falls down to it, a kill's a kill, and an early fountain's an early fountain. So not really the worst thing to happen either.
Yeah, not at all. It's better to have the kill go on to your captain than to not get the kill at all. Valmanway is going to continue to play aggressive, though. He wants to be able to use that Merciless Pursuit on cooldown in order to get the stacks. Meanwhile, down in the jungle, actually, missed that one. It was Demon Eco able to find somebody trying to be a little bit too aggressive and catch him out there, getting the second kill of the game for Misfits.
Second kill of the game, but that's how we saw last game start out, too. Yep. So we know this Vox is going to scale into the late game, but so is this Celeste, and Celeste scales so heavily into the late game. And the Celeste pick is good because, you run the risk with the Sky. The Catherine's able to really block a lot of the damage. However, it does let you build up Broken Myth stacks in the process. Celeste just saying, I don't need to hit you, Catherine. I'm going to just drop stars over your head and hit your back line. So that is one advantage that the Celeste does bring. However, she's very squishy and has basically no mobility. You could, count the CC as maybe a little bit of an escape tactic, but you're pretty reliant on landing it at that point. And Valman Way, I think, steals that health tree, and he does, and that is going to be probably Misfits wanting to disengage here.
And they're definitely going to be looking to get out of there. They will be able to do so, as Infinity Rebirth didn't really seem too focused on trying to re-engage that one. It's going to be, again, just be Valman Way looking to get as many stacks on this heroic perk as possible here in the early game. This is when you can, very often get in and get a stack onto an opponent without really being punished for it too heavily. So you'll see them go very aggressive, even sometimes go under the turret. A lot of Catherine players will say it's worth it to take a turret shot if it gets you a stack of your perk in the early going. So just as long as Valman Way doesn't get too greedy looking for those perks, should be okay.
Yeah, and it is nice to get the stacks, but again, the downside of this Catherine is she really works the best when blocking directional damage, and we don't have any of that out of the side of Misfits this game. So, it did really good last game blocking out those glimmer shots, blocking out those bad mojos. You just don't have those same skill shots to block this game. So the Catherine you don't get that.
Somebody, nice job stealing away that treant.
Oh wow, yeah, he did. That is actually really good. You definitely want to get that gold here on Baptiste early, especially since Celeste was able to find a kill and get that experience a little ahead on level. Gonna get a chance to buy here, not quite enough to get that Frostburn first item, which is gonna be needed because you're gonna have to keep this Catherine and this Baptiste back. If they're able to get to you, it's gonna make your game a nightmare, and you really have to make sure you make it to the late game of Celeste.
And there was definitely you mentioned that the directional damage, but at the same time, Valman Way is going to be okay with just using that the Stormguard bubble to reflect the damage that Demon's going to be outputting. Just try and just get as much damage reflected as possible. Obviously, having shield doesn't help you reflect damage because it reflects a percentage of the damage after shield and armor reduction, but it still will be a lot of damage going back because of just the level of damage that will be outputted by this Celeste. And somebody, again, going to be trying to stay about on par. There's a little bit of CS behind Demon. Up in the lane, it's a small CS lead for snipers, though, so it all kind of balances out a bit. And both of these laners going for a Poison Shiv first item as well. And so really kind of deja vu from game number one where things were very, very even throughout the mid game.
Yeah, and this Poison Shiv coming out on both sides is not very surprising. Just the utility that it brings to the table, it does offer a lot of attack speed. We know the attack speed items had a pretty massive change in the one of the recent updates, I think 3 updates ago. So huge changes there, and then obviously the sustain that it brings. We obviously talked about the Glaive earlier. It stacks with his heroic perk, and then Vox, just very common build for him. Poison Shiv, Tension Bow, Breaking Point, common build for Vox, allows him to scale really quickly. Demon finding a solid kill, almost no damage taken in return, and he's gonna find the second one onto Catherine as well down in the jungle, and that's looking really good for Demon. You really expect this Baptiste to win the early game out against this Celeste, but due to good rotations out of Zax and Eco here, we're getting ahead early on Celeste, and that's really where you want to be. And once we get this level 8 spike out of Demon, Celeste is going to be such a huge nuisance.
It really is. Right now Misfits able to find these kills is great for them, but again, I have to go back to game number one where they were able to find kills but didn't find any objectives off of it. And that's what we're seeing again. They've got this 4-kill lead, but their gold lead is still less than 1,000 off of as a result of that. So they're not able to find the macro play to go along with their micro play here in the early to mid games. We saw very similar things happen in Europe where this team would win all the team fights in the early to mid game, but they were never able to get objectives. And as a result, their opponents stayed in the game until it got very late and were then able to turn fights around. So Misfit's going to be hoping that that is not the case here. Demon's starting to drop a lot of damage with these Helios as he has that Shatter Glass, but so does somebody. Solar going to come out, hits a lot of damage. This is Misfits trying to push in, trying to siege up on this turret and getting a lot of value out of it. That's going to be a kill as they dive in with the Afterburn, taking out somebody. And that's really the big defense from the siege that Misfits have taken out, and they're just immediately going to rotate in and take some of this jungle.
Yeah, and Kath waited way too long to pop that fountain, wanted to come up, maybe try to clear some wave and save it. But the glaive dove in really heavily and, got the damage down, killed somebody, burned the fountain out there when Snipers was already full health, and that is a huge cooldown to burn that early.
It really is, and they're still going to be looking to give credit to Infinity Rebirth. They're still sticking with it. Again, not losing much other than a couple of jungle camps. The gold lead is now at about 1,000 as a result of that last kill, but I'm curious to see if we're going to actually see any actual differences in the item build paths, because both carries and both junglers seem to be looking to keep their builds extremely similar. It's just kind of the most popular builds for those roles on the current update. Valmanway can be in a little bit of trouble as the rest of the team can't really rotate up to join the lane. A big stun and chunk of damage onto Snipers will be another kill for Misfits. The gauntlet questionable at best on that one, but now they can definitely look to dive in under this turret, find the turret, and a little bit of damage on the Valmanway. So Misfits able to get that objective now finally.
Yeah, and Valmanway burning another fountain for no gain, and turret goes down for the side of Misfits, looking really good for them. They're going to secure the gold miner on top of it. That's going to be we talked about only having about a 500 gold lead earlier. It's just expanded very, very quickly to a 3,000 gold lead.
Well, that's a gold lead suddenly taking off for the side of Misfits. Obviously, they're going to look to keep that continuing. As Snipers does get this lane pushed up. Now, Denominate, I want to take a little bit of a closer look at how this composition for the side of Misfits works, because they have a good amount of poke and siege with the Celeste, and then it feels like once they get someone low, that's when Zax can then go in with the afterburn, and if the reflex blocks are not on point, it almost seems like it's just a guaranteed kill.
It is, and Demon opting to go with a Shatterglass first on the Celeste, really using those crystal ratios to her advantage.
That was actually really interesting. The Fearsome Shade got blocked, but Misfits retreated as it came out. Oh, Solar Storm takes out Snipers. But the Fearsome Shade got blocked, but they retreated with it and then got hit by the tail end of it after the block wore off. But now they're going to be looking for more onto Valmanway, taking lots of damage. Somebody is able to keep healthy with the sustain that the Baptiste has, but Misfits, they're looking for another turret here, and they're going to be getting a lot of damage onto this one. They're ignoring the Ordained, and they get this tier 2 turret. Misfits looking so much cleaner here in game number 2.
And it's only gonna get cleaner as this Celeste gets more and more farm to her name. We see the Eve completed. That's going to give her a little bit of energy regeneration and sustain through these fights. Glaive just now completing the breaking point, so opting to not go into the Sorrow Blade that we saw out of the Glaive last game. Eco does have 3 items of his own too. He has these War Treads ready to go. Huge engage coming there, and this damage on this Celeste is absolutely unreal. 2 kills found for Demon, 7-0, and this game is looking really good for Misfits here, and the Solar Storms, except for that one, have been looking pretty good, finding huge damage across the board, hitting multiple enemies or sniping down that box the last one used. Looking really good from this Celeste right now, and I think this is something that the side of Infinity Rebirth is going to have to consider going into the next game, is this Celeste is looking so good right now.
It really is. I mean, Demon is hard carrying this game, 7-0-2 at the 12-minute mark. And again, Misfits are just playing better as a whole around it as well. Able to find objectives, able to take a couple of turrets, and not giving opportunities over to Infinity Rebirth. But they do need to keep it up. This composition is going to scale up into the late game very effectively. And the Vox and the Baptiste will have opportunities as we get later into this game. But they're going to have to start making strides towards that very, very shortly. Otherwise, this game will get out of reach before they can hit that point.
Yeah, and it is going to be difficult because some might say Vox functions pretty well into Celeste due to his mobility, but the Heliogenesis is just up way more frequently than a Sonic Zoom, so it's something you really have to be cautious about. And with this Celeste constantly hitting 500 damage, that's something you really, really have to make sure you're not in. So we have to see a heavy engage where we can catch Demon out. If he's allowed to poke from the back line, he's going to do it freely and get the damage down, and you're not going to be able to stay in the fight after you've been poked out by this kind of damage.
So they set up in the lane once again. Valmanway wanted to get a stun down there, maybe catch Zax out a bit, but not able to pull the trigger on it. They don't know where Demon is because there's been some much better vision control this game by Misfits as well. Last game, Infinity Rebirth, were pretty much completely in control of all the vision. And Aftershock going to come out from Valmanway. Interesting decision there. Look to get a little bit more damage. Everyone from Infinity Rebirth going to be recalling so that they don't get caught in a bad rotation towards this tier 3 turret. Meanwhile, Misfits going to be setting up yet another siege. Can they find a way in? That's going to be stun of the Demon, but the rest of the team was not there to capitalize. That's going to be big. A nice block onto the Flash Tremor, but the Ordained did stun up Demon. Now they're trying to go in. Another Fear. Demon is just not able to get much damage off. Finally gets the Soul Storm out. They do find the kill in the Valmanway. Where's the rest of the team? They're on the other side of the wall, not putting out any damage. That was a big mistake. Oh, huge core collapse stun on to Snipers. Very likely going to go down, but no, Snipers ends up getting the kill on to Zax. And this is a 1-for-1. Demon will be able to get out without giving his life over as well. So able to at least keep them from winning the team fight that time was Infinity Rebirth.
Yeah, and they definitely were trying to capitalize on the fact that Celeste may have been a little too far forward, getting a little caught out. But it looked like a little bit of hesitation may have cost them the kill and potentially the fight.
Kraken has now awakened 15 minutes in to this game. 10-1 lead on the kills for Misfits. They have themselves about a 5,500 gold lead as well. It is an uphill climb for Infinity Rebirth, but it is a climb that is doable. They can find another really good engage. They can lock down Demon for such a long time, and Demon was unable to do really much of anything for a good 4 seconds in that fight. Now Valmanway is going to be on the front lines here, but they are going to retreat off as they get spotted by the flare. Stun onto Eco, not the target you're really looking for. Flash Tremor gets blocked. Eco has been so good at crucibling these Flash Tremors. Now somebody's taking a lot of damage. He's going to be trying to heal damage back over the wall. Zax gets onto him, though. Ordained will keep him safe for a bit. Snipers, however, is in some trouble. Trying to 1v1 Demon. Will actually 1v1 him, and he does go down. Valmanway into trouble. Somebody needs to get back involved in this. You have the Crystal Sentry go for a kill here. You have the sustain. You have the opportunities, but it's just, once again, going to be another 1-for-1 trade.
1-for-1 trade, and I do want to point out this Catherine has really focused so heavily on the cooldown. We have this contraption completed. We have an Aftershock completed before we even have an Atlas Pauldron for this Glaive, who's just been allowed to ramp up on these fights. And we didn't get to see it too much last fight just because of how split everything was, but Sniper is finding a very good kill in a 2v1 on Demon there, so still a little bit of life showing from this Infinity Rebirth team here.
Right now, they're going to be looking for an opportunity again. Valmanway, I'm really impressed with Valmanway's ability to get vision down into crucial areas, even when the team is behind. He's got some good vision control over the middle of the map. Demon trying to throw down damage over the wall. Valmanway could be in some trouble. The rest of the team is not here. Somebody is there, but Snipers is a long way off. Valmanway's already at half health. Still going to be going in anyway. They are playing with fire here. Valmanway is just dropped. Not able to get a lot of utility out. Snipers on the back line going to be trying to do anything he can, but it's not going to be enough as somebody has dropped as well. And the Snipers will be going down. This will be an ace for the side of Misfits. Valmanway just, again, so aggressive without having the rest of the team there. Not sure if we lost the nominee here. Perhaps, but either way, it does look like Misfits with these Ace Buff minions going to be working on the choke point turret and going to be taking this Kraken at the same time. Turret is destroyed. Kraken is about to be unleashed. Everyone from Infinity Rebirth will be respawning. They will have one more chance to try and stop this push, but they're going to have to come through in a big, big way.
They will, and we still don't have an Atlas on the side of Infinity Rebirth here, so this next fight is going to be really difficult for them, especially with Glaive infused. He has an Atlas Pauldron of his own. He has an Aegis. He's actually at full build infused here at 18 minutes. The build in particular not being very expensive, but it's looking really good with Demon on this Celeste. Glaive's able to get in, get the damage down, and then Demon just from a distance is able to clean up.
All right, so Kraken making her way into the base. This is it for Infinity Rebirth in game number 2. At least they have the 1-game lead if they aren't able to succeed in this defense, but looks like Misfits not really willing to try and commit to a fight. They're going to go all in onto the Arden, not the target you want again, and now the re-engage from Misfits. They get the stun onto somebody. Somebody goes down. Or sorry, not somebody. That was Valman Way. Now somebody goes down.
And now Sniper goes down to follow suit.
Yeah, the ace for Misfits as they came into the game number 2 looking significantly cleaner, much more effective, and they get the victory, forcing us into a decisive game number 3.
And what a performance out of Demon on this Celeste here. 11, 1, and 6 with 109 farm here on this jungle Celeste. So huge performance out of Misfits this game, looking really, really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Denomine and Tasty. That was a completely different team. Misfits really felt more composed, and there was some ups and downs, but you could definitely say, when they saw the power spikes coming out of Infinity, they played more conservatively. They definitely took a more holistic approach to the game, not over aggressing the enemy team when they didn't need to. Definitely playing to their power spikes, and Celeste from beginning to end. That was a fantastic game for Excel. Known also, with his name Demon currently. Very, very well played, and he just, night and day from game 1. Maybe something is to be said about, maybe some of his connection issues, so we'll have to see if that carries over to game number 2.
Yeah, and in that last fight in particular, we talked in VIS Pro about when Eco was subbing in for Flash, how really good he is and underrated he can be as a player. Yeah. And really showing that game, just huge timing on his Vanguards, protecting Demon several times when maybe being a little too far out. And in that last fight, he was actually able to block both the Fearsome Shade and the Blast Tremor with just the one Crucible. So huge benefit of having that Crucible there. Made it just an incredibly worthwhile item, and just showing his ability to block several of these abilities that most would consider to be harder to block. As we do get into these top tier games, we do see more roamers able to block that Blast Tremor, but that is a difficult ability to block. That's something that you really have to be looking out for. And Eco just showing, I'm going to do it every single time.
Yeah, and that's something we didn't see from game 1. I mean, it was all around a complete team collapse game 1. They put all those pieces back together. Much stronger support play. His Arden play looked really, really good. And he was patient with the gauntlets. The gauntlets, there were a few of them that were maybe not right on point, but near the end of the game, they improved. The real star was the Celeste, and it was some of those Solar Storms were incredible. We saw a Solar Storm decimate a hero even after Fallon had been active, so that's just goes to show you the amount of damage you can stack on top of a hero with Celeste is really incredible. I think we're taking a quick, it looks like they're back. I was gonna say we're gonna take a quick break, but they are back, so we should be ready to get into game number 3. And just checking in real quick, once one of the players checks back in. This is pretty incredible. I think what's interesting is that this Misfits roster has been these 3 guys for the last 2-3 seasons. I mean, ever since Misfits acquired them, but even before them when they were Fate Zero, for the last 3 seasons, then they stuck it together and they found ways to get a certain amount of success. They just haven't found the pieces or haven't put it all together to go the long distance. Now, if they play anything like they played game number 2, I think Misfits takes this game.
If they can bring it together the way they did in game number 2, they definitely have the potential to take this game. Exhale, Demon being that, he was on, I believe, on LibX back in the very first live championship and actually was able to take that title. So he has that experience behind his belt. And, this team, definitely sticking together through some tough times. I think they have the potential here that they can be a challengers competitor. They just have to make sure they bring their A game to the table all the time. Consistency has been a huge problem for this team.
Absolutely. Well, with that, everybody, we are getting into game number 3. I'm going to kick it back over to you, Denominate and Tasty, to break down the draft. We'll see how it goes. Infinity Rebirth, though, with a Celeste band. That is really, really gutsy. And this time, I think Misfits played this correctly, understanding that, let's bait them into that Grump Drop pick.
They are looking like they're going to make that Grump Drop pick, punishing to choose with this Catherine already on the board. So we do see somebody edging at it here, but it looks like they're also looking at a Glaive Arden combination is what is very likely to come out here. I have to see where Snipers ends up locking in, but I definitely expect it to be a captain here on this side, and with the Catherine already on the table, I don't think it's going to be a Grumpjaw. And here comes out the Finn, so actually can't be stunned here. So
yeah, and I mean that's
a little bit opposite end of the spectrum.
It is, and that's actually a really smart play. You do see the Catherine, he can get silenced, and the stun silences him for a second, so it has some effectiveness for a brief moment. I do like the fact that Infinity Birth is prioritizing some more CC, but Finn's a completely different playstyle than what we saw the Catherine plays. I mean, it was these snipers, man. It was Val Manway on that Catherine was constantly being aggressive and being annoying and kind of like a pest. Now with the Finn, you're not gonna have to worry about that. This might mean that Misfits has a little bit more room to breathe.
Yeah, and it looks like Tasty might not have actually made it into this game, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah, my game is still sitting.
We can. Well, what we will do is, because you can't get into it, is...
Oh, it just loaded in randomly.
Oh,
okay.
Oh, cool.
I was going to say I would cast, but now it looks like I don't have to, so...
That was bizarre. I was literally just sitting on the lobby screen for the entire duration of that draft, and then once it finished, it just jumped into the loading screen.
Super interesting, and I'm so excited to see this Samuel skin. I am so happy we get to see this. This is one of my favorite skins to date. The particle effects are so beautiful, Bacon.
It's my second favorite skin because Ride or Die Sky is #1 right now.
I have to lean that way too. Huge motor. But definitely the Samuel one is one of my favorites to date, though. I love the particle effects on it.
It's still incredibly good. The particles are so nice to look at. But either way, we're going to get to see it in action here now as Demon will be taking Samuel onto the fold. Looking forward to seeing somebody try and play this Kashka. Was really strong on the Sky. Not quite as effective on the Batiste. We'll see if this aggressive style that will have to be brought out with the Kashka will pay off. The Finn also going to be really interesting to watch and see how this one works out. Eco gets the first stack by silencing Valmanway.
Absolutely, and building up those stacks early. Maybe, again, not so heavily in need this game. Again, Catherine is just really good at blocking directional skill shot damage, and we don't have that on the side of Infinity Rebirth, but we do have the heavy engage on Kashka here, so even if you don't block the Kashka ult, there is potential to be stunned out of it. So that's something huge that they do bring to the table.
Well, somebody is going to be finding Demon, but Eco is right there as well. Nice at drifting dark, but doesn't connect with, I think, hit with one Malice and Verdict shot. Not really going to be doing enough to dissuade somebody. Now they can easily look for this Ancient Treant. That's exactly what Infinity Rebirth is going to do. And so this early game, not really going to be super decisive, but does give a slight little edge over to the side of Infinity Rebirth. We'll see how far they try and push this, as they are going to be going aggressive. But once again, somebody and Valmanway both getting spotted out.
And one huge thing we gotta take account for is Koshka handles really well into Samuel in the early and mid game. Just because of her mobility, she is able to dodge out a lot of those Malice and Verdicts. But as the game goes on and Samuel gets a Frostburn, and this is a triple melee composition, and this is where Samuel is going to shine. And the fact that the Finn is not going to be able to frontline because the Glaive and Koshka have to dive so heavily. A huge kill found. Finn left the Koshka alone in an engage from Misfits that I didn't even see happening there. That finds somebody for the first blood going over into Demon's pocket.
All right, well, first blood for Misfits. It's been that way each of these 3 games now. Misfits, their early game play has been very strong when it comes to finding kills. Snipers on this Glaive, though, he did have a great game 1. They're going to be jumping right in onto Zax. Don't have the damage for the kill. I don't think so, though. Somebody's going to go aggressive for it. Finds the kill, but gets traded right back. Not 100% sure entirely how worth that was. It's just going to be an even trade.
And I'm actually surprised that seeing the Koshka had died there, I'm surprised that Demon didn't opt to leave his backs, go take a half rotation out of Koshka, and then recall and clean out his farm. It would have... You really want to deny this Koshka early. However, Demon is pretty far ahead so far, 23-12 on this Koshka, so doing really good for himself so far, building some early shield to deal with this Koshka's damage. And Zax has already completed a Poison Shiv too, so that's kind of a huge situation here because Snipers hasn't bought at all yet.
And well, once Snipers does get back to the shop, it will be pretty strong. A lot of gold sitting in his pocket right now, 2,500, but still quite healthy thanks to just being able to heal up with that Book of Eulogies. And Valman Way going to be trying to hang around with him, but like you said, the shop advantage, the item advantage that Misfits have is going to allow them to continue to poke. Look at somebody, though. Somebody deep in the enemy jungle was able to steal away quite a few camps there. So nice job getting into enemy territory and getting back out alive.
Yeah, and I'm kind of questioning Misfits' decision there as far ahead as they are in build so far because this Glaive hasn't backed. I'm surprised they didn't really shove that wave into turret and get some damage down, knowing that the Glaive just didn't have any clear to combat their damage that they could bring to the table.
Right now, it's again, Snipers did get back to the shop, bought himself a Sorrow Blade first item. So that's going to be a lot more burst as they maybe thought about looking for a fight there, but Misfits recognizing that everyone was coming way up. Eco just slams somebody with a stun. And somebody, again, going to be trying to move into the jungle, not finding any opportunity there. They're just looking for damage wherever they can, but right now Misfits are doing a really good job of avoiding it and just trading back quite effectively.
Yeah, and somebody is actually, with that really aggressive jungle rotation, has caught up in farm. He was 13 farm down before. Now he is only 2 farm behind. So really well played out of him to take that that risk of diving deep into the enemy jungle. And he gets a good return out of it. And it looks like we're going to be moving into the Aftershock. He did build into the Heavy Prism early for that aggressive damage. But the cooldown is just so useful on Koshka that it makes so much sense.
Right now, with the movements into the middle of the map, you got to figure Infinity Rebirth going to be looking to get some more items under their belt. Boots looks like Sniper's going to be going towards a Poison Shiv. Eco gets in there. I don't know if they were expecting the full team to be here. That's going to be a nice block of the Yummy Catnip Frenzy, and just like this, Misfits are turning the fight back around, trying to find the damage. Jumping back in is somebody. That's a little bit risky. Is going to be the first one to fall in this skirmish. And now they're going to try and chase down Valman Way. That slow-moving Finn just not able to get himself out of harm's way. And it is a second kill going the way of Misfits from that trade.
Yeah, 4-1 on Misfits, and I really got to question the targeting of the Yummy Catnip Frenzy there. Vox had already bought a reflex block, and at the beginning of that fight, Demon was caught out in the front line. Huge opportunity before he had bought a reflex block there to get that stun down, and instead opting to choose for Zax, and Zax blocking it with that reflex block. just you gotta. These are big things that when you play Koshka, you really have to focus on. Is abusing the fact that someone doesn't have that 6-minute reflex block yet. Take advantage of that. Get the stun down. That's where you're gonna win the early and mid game as Koshka. Is abuse the enemy's lack of defense.
Well, that's unfortunately not going to be a thing that somebody can do anymore because all 3 members of Misfits have a reflex block. They narrowly avoid getting that gold mine stolen. And that is going to be a nice little chunk of gold going the way of Infinity Rebirth, keeping themselves even in the gold battle. As even though Misfits have this 4-1 lead, the gold is still very much even. So Infinity Rebirth, this is something they've been doing a phenomenal job of throughout these first, well, all 3 of these games now, is even though they're falling behind on kills, they are still keeping the gold even. They're actually getting a lot of damage onto this turret as a result of this, but now they need to be careful. Snipers is going to stick around and try and finish this off. He's going to get it. Will he be sacrificing himself for his prize? And it looks very much like that will be the case as all 3 members of Misfits chase him down. But again, 1 kill for a turret is always going to be worth it.
Absolutely, especially that first turret is kind of the huge thing.
Yeah, it opens up the map so much, allows the team to have a lot of flexibility in what they're trying to do, and as long as they can protect their own tier 1 turret in return, this is going to be a nice little power play for Infinity Rebirth. They're going to be trying to do so now. Glaive is making his way back up, and there's going to be a big force to cord pulling in 3. Yummy Catnip Frenzy gets blocked, but the Afterburn does not. Zax is so low, but he's going to get out as somebody just ran out of energy and was low on health. They could not commit to trying to finish off that kill. Oh, unbelievable play from Infinity Rebirth, narrowly escaped by Misfits.
Narrowly escaped, and Zax actually almost got himself killed there. We saw a wonderful Oblivion come out of Demon there, stunning up the entire enemy team. Zax, not realizing the sleep came through, hit snipers, which allowed him to get 2 more basic attacks down and almost killed him.
Well, still the objective game is in favor of Infinity Rebirth. As a result, they have a small gold lead. Are they going to be able to find anything here? It's all 3 members of Misfits. Koshka is just coming up now. Afterburn is not going to be used for an engagement. Somebody's jumping in anyway. You have to be careful. If your team is not ready to engage with you, you may want to just hold off a bit. Lay in the wings, wait for the Afterburn to come back off cooldown before trying to make something happen. Now, as a result, Infinity Rebirth, they're going to be low, but thankfully for them, Misfits were low on energy, so they're going to be recalling, and there won't be any additional fighting.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Infinity Rebirth can't see what we see. The gold lead was not very different, but there was about 3,000 of it was sitting in the pockets of Misfits, and you really don't want to be sitting with that much gold in your pocket because that is useful items that you could be having in your kit there. So, you know, they definitely get that chance to go back and shop, and I think that's going to really change how these next couple fights go. Vox has that tension bow completed and is working now towards what looks to be either a breaking point or a sorrow blade. And a crucible comes out of Eco here and then uses it very well at the same time. Yeah.
That's called getting your money's worth, but they're going to be still looking for a fight here as Infinity Rebirth trying to get onto Zax. It's going to be somebody trying to duel him out, but gets taken out by Demon on the Samuel. Not the play that somebody was hoping for. And now it's going to be Infinity Rebirth in a lot of trouble. Valmanway will fall. Snipers is going to be able to get himself out of here to avoid the ace, but definitely not the fight that Infinity Rebirth was trying to find.
Not at all, and that's where you really have to be careful with this Koshka, is if you stick around your Finn, Finn can make you incredibly durable, but we talked about this earlier, is the composition they've built is all about diving for your damage, and if you can't dive, you're not going to get the damage down. So that's where the Finn is really hard to use in this scenario, because your team just doesn't mesh well with somebody who is so slow and at the back of the fight all the time.
Yeah, they need to also just be a little bit more coordinated, I feel like, with their engagements. I mean, somebody went so deep looking for Zax, which I admire that idea. It was a great decision, but the rest of the team needs to be trying to follow up. I mean, neither Snipers nor Valmanway was able to get anywhere close to as deep as somebody was. And at some point, you have to decide, okay, I'm going to reel it in a little bit, try and maybe go for Demon or something along those lines instead of trying to get onto that backline where both Zax and Demon are going to be pumping out damage onto you.
Right, and we see this breaking point coming out now out of the box, so he's really going to start ramping up in these fights, especially, again, the Koshka is really squishy and has to dive really heavily and has no weapon defense, so we really need to see an Atlas Ball to come out soon.
Nice silence from the Vox is going to be stopping this attack, and all of a sudden Misfits are turning it right back around. Valmanway and somebody are alive. The fountain came out extremely late because of that silence. Nice block by somebody to prevent the stun. So it's just going to be the one kill going over, but now Misfits can find quite a bit in the jungle. They're going to steal away the Treant. They're going to start up this gold miner. Should be able to take this. Somebody needs to be careful about trying to go this aggressive. Oh, actually steals it and gets out. Excellent work by somebody making sure that Infinity Rebirth stays in this game.
Yeah, and huge steal from him there. Not even the Aftershock proc, just the damage from the Pouncy Fun. Great timing out of somebody there. It was a little risky, seeing him come in that low on health. I was a little worried, but Koshka's speed allows him to make it in and out safely. Just beautifully played by somebody. All
right. Well, Infinity Rebirth, again, hanging in there. Still only about 500 gold back, not even. They are just... It's amazing to me that they can be this far behind on kills, but still keeping the gold from getting out of hand. As 8-1 on the scoreboard, but 28 to 29,000 gold each team. As that's going to be Valmanway finding stun. Forced Accord is going to get crucibled, and now all of a sudden Misfits just turning this fight once again, taking somebody out immediately. Zax is going to go low, but they just don't quite have the damage to finish him off. That Poison Shiv keeping him alive with those breaking point stacks, and it is an ace for Misfits. Are they going to look for? They're going to look to try and take this tier 2 turret. They should be able to get that one easily.
Yeah, and that fight did look a bit better for the side of Infinity Rebirth. Glaive was able to get the Atlas Pauldron down. Koshka still, well, I guess now Koshka just bought a tier 1 armor, and that's really where all the damage from her is coming from. She dives this Vox, and because she has no armor at all, that breaking point ramps up so fast. And with Demon slowing you with every Malice and Verdict, it's really allowed Zax on this Vox to ramp up his damage incredibly easy and punishing the Koshka for having to dive in so far.
Well, Infinity Rebirth looking for a fight here, but again, this Forced Accord does get blocked. Eco has been absolutely on point with these Crucibles today. Things like blocking all those blast tremors against Catherine, now blocking almost all of these Forced Accords from the Finn. Really, really great stuff. And enabling the team to be able to find all of these team fights that they're winning. And because they were able to take that turret, they're starting to pull ahead on the gold, about 3k gold lead. Here we go, another fight. They're going to get a silence down onto Valmanway. There's a big wait for it, getting another double silence, but somebody gets blocked by the Yummy Cat and Frenzy. And it's just Zax and Eco going to be taking down this Koshka. This Demon does fall, but Zax is still very, very healthy. Double stun from the Quibble, not going to be enough to keep them at bay. And Zax, Eco stun up the Glaive, find themselves not quite an ace. A big afterburn over the wall will get snipers out to safety. And this is, well, they're going to start up the Kraken regardless. This is perhaps a little bit risky, but just snipers. They knew he was so low, and they knew he had the recall. And actually, I think they realized that they don't quite have enough damage to go for this Kraken just yet.
Yeah, and they don't see the vision there either is another big thing. So that would have given a huge opportunity for somebody to come in and get another steal. And you do not want to lose that Kraken after you've just brought yourself back into the objective game.
3,000 gold lead persisting through, and that's going to be a big, big wave of minions for Zax to eat up here. Now Infinity Rebirth starting to push up again towards this middle of the map. We'll see if they can find a fight that will go their favor. They've had such a tough time just trying to get that initial kill. And again, it's always somebody jumping in onto Zax while Snipers and Valmanway work on Demon. They need to just all three go for one target. I feel like that's going to be their key to trying to win one of these team fights.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's hard to pick whether you go for Demon. Yes, Demon looks like such a good target, having low defense.
It doesn't even have. I mean, Demon. I think they need to focus Demon first. He is the easier target. He is going to fall much quicker, and then all three of them can jump onto Zax.
Yeah, but I mean, that breaking point's going to ramp up so quickly. It's really hard, especially with Misfits having been so good about blocking the Kashka ult, is really the
They're getting on in here, though. Sorry to cut you off, but somebody is so low. Somebody goes down, and it is Zax and Demon both staying alive this time, and they're going to be finding all 3 kills. That is an ace for Misfits. That will be the Kraken. They send Demon up into the lane just to get these minions pushing onto this choke point turret, but this is looking like it is falling apart for Infinity Rebirth.
Yeah, starting to look really good as the Samuel scales up. You know, we discussed that early in the game, Kashka does a pretty decent job shutting Samuel down. Samuel is at this 3-item point and is starting to get defense, and he's just going to be incredibly difficult to kill. And, you know, this Kraken buff here is going to refill Demon's energy. He doesn't even have to back. This is starting to look really good, up 16-2 for Misfits. So with only 2 turrets left, it's going to be pretty hard with the way these fights have been going for Infinity Rebirth to stay in this game. And again, I just really don't like this Finn combination with an assassin.
Yeah, it's unfortunately, I mean, really 2 assassins if you think about it.
Right, yeah, with the weapon glaive, yeah. I mean, you have no siege potential, which is really where Finn shines the most.
Demon was so close to just blindly finding Infinity Rebirth sitting over the wall, but now Kraken making her way into the base. They're going to try and find this fight. Eco does get stunned. Nice afterburn onto Zax. Here they go. They're jumping on in, but Zax is untouched, and big damage from the Samuel. They've already got 1 kill on the sniper. Somebody is about to drop as well. Demon is trying to chase down Valmanway, but he's going to be able to get onto the Sanctuary and start healing up. But that doesn't matter because Kraken and the rest of Misfits are finishing off this game, and Misfits will survive against Infinity Rebirth. I was so close for Infinity Rebirth. They won game number 1. They were hanging in both games 2 and 3, but unfortunately for them, Misfits just had a little bit more in the tank.
A little bit more in the tank indeed, and I'm glad to see Misfits finding a little something in their lineup here. You know, they've stuck together for a long time with varying success, and, you know, they are looking a lot better coming into this season than they have in the past couple.
Yeah, everybody. I mean, that was a pretty exciting game. And if you take the last 2 games, Day and Tasty, I think it's a better idea of how well they can play. And game 1 may be a fluke because game 2 and 3, I think combined, they had a total of 4 or 5 deaths across the entire team.
The draft was very heavily in the side of Infinity Rebirth in game 1-2. They won the draft, no question in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, you know, you learn from it, you get up and you keep fighting. And this time, Misfits, they get to move on as the brackets are going to get harder and harder for them as they look to make their way through into the playoffs here. They're going to be making on to the next round, the round of 8 here in the winner's bracket. But, man, really well-fought series, and also kind of exciting to have our first streamed game, number 3. There were a few today, and we'll jump into those in just a moment, everybody, as we get out of the fold and jumping into where we have gone today, what's happened. There's been a lot of action on the fold, a lot of other games that we weren't able to stream, and let's talk a little bit about them before we wrap up tonight. Because one of we're going to start with the bracket. Is one of these games that really was shocking everybody was the fact that we did see Lost in an Echo drop to Intensity VG. That was a very big surprise.
Yeah, I mean, the seeds are pretty close. It definitely is in a position where it could go either way. That did go to a game 3, so it was obviously a pretty close matchup there. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see all of the details, but that does put Misfits up against Vision Gaming, and then Immortals up against Intensity VG in the winner's bracket.
No, absolutely. This is a really, really, really tight winner's bracket. I mean, Immortals versus Intensity, I think we all got to agree it's got to go to probably Immortals there. Intensity, though, of course, can work their way through the loser bracket. When we go on the other side, Misfits versus Vision Gaming, 4 versus 5, that's potentially has the has the likelihood to be very, very close. And this is going to be the real test for Misfits because Vision Gaming has also looked very dominant.
They have, and Misfits really wants their spot in the VG8 back, so I think they're going to be putting a lot of time and dedication into studying what they have. We don't have too much on Vision Gaming, but there are some games that they can review, and Vision Gaming can do the same. We just had that series with Misfits versus Infinity Rebirth, so I think there's going to be a lot of focus between these two teams since they're so close in seed, so close in skill, that whoever does the better job studying is going to come out on top. Vision Gaming may have to look into, do we ban that Celeste? So definitely something to think about.
Yeah, when we jump down into the loser bracket, we're still waiting for some of those game results actually to come in. So once they are all in, we should be actually getting a lot of that. As you see, some of them are starting to come through already. But the biggest thing here is just taking a look at this is that we have some really strong teams already dropped down here. Lost in the Echo. We of course, Fable GG looked pretty well. And of course, now we've just saw drop down here is now also Infinity Rebirth, and they looked really good. So there's going to be a lot of really strong challenging teams down here in the elimination bracket. And of course, 2 of those teams will make it into the playoffs round as well. We have a few more rounds or a few more matches here to just make sure we get final results in before the end of the night. That being said, everybody, that is the end of our stream. A quick heads up on the schedule ahead of us going into the split 1. Tomorrow we will be starting group number B. It's the remaining 16 teams from this 32 team bracket. And then week number 2, things really heat up. We'll be finishing the group phase stages with the last winners round match being taken place, the last 2 of those, and then rounding out the rest of the week with the elimination rounds. So you guys make sure you definitely want to tune to week number 2, as it's going to be super contested. And then into week number 3 here, we will be getting into the playoffs, which you guys have known and come to love are really, really intense. A lot of matches. It's really grueling for the teams. They have to overcome so many obstacles, and it will be double ban starting on week number 3. So that's something to look forward to for both the teams and for you guys watching. Is the competition, it only gets harder.
Yeah, and double ban is going to be a huge thing. That really brings a lot more choice into the draft, and you can really spend more time thinking about those targeted bans. So, for example, we see the Grumpjaw and the Baron off the table pretty quickly in every game here. When we get into the later games, for example, we were discussing the possible Celeste bans, against Misfits. That's kind of a hard choice to make when you're in single ban, just because, do you give up an incredibly powerful Baron pick to ban the Celeste, or where do you go with that? And so as you get into the double ban phase, you'll see those 2 main priority picks come off the table early. Your second round can really be focused on targeted bans at that point. Koshka versus T-Tigers, Celeste versus Exhale, Voxes, things of that nature. So definitely exciting games set up for the playoffs here.
Well, with that, guys, this is the end of our stream. Thanks, everybody, for coming out and watch. It's been an absolute blast here to kick off the summer season here with Split 1 at the VIS desk. Thanks, Tasty Bacon Denominate. Thanks for joining me, and we will see you guys tomorrow for group number B. Until then, good night.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.